So they were trying to get him to check in every time he comes to LA. Like, you got to check in, this and that. And he's like, fuck that, I don't got to check in. Like, you're my dad. And I was like, damn, this motherfucker's not playing. He shows up places, like, he doesn't care. He's like, dude, I'm right here. Like, what's up? And then he's got beef with Chief Keef, another rapper that I can't stand. But he took Chief Keef's baby mama out shopping. Took her to the Gucci store. Because Chief Keef's baby mama's like, hey, what's up? This is Chief Keef's baby mama. He don't even take care of his kid. This and that. And so that 6ix9ine dude's like, hey, it's like, he uses the N-word a lot. He's like, don't take care of your kids. He's and your baby mama. I'm gonna take care of her. This is.
Yeah, he said that.
Dude posted on Instagram and everything, man. This dude's just. If he doesn't end up dead soon, I mean, I'm gonna be surprised. But this.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna go quick live and make sure that works.
So.
I'm out here in New York, and guess what? That nigga don't do shit for his fucking kid.
You know,
Sweats.
Treyway here, man. You don't know how to take care of your girl, niggas gonna take care of for you.
Takes her into the Gucci store, buys her a fucking Gucci fanny pack and
No,
shit.
man.
Dude, that's mad disrespect right there, dude.
And kill, yeah.
And we're in his chain.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think it's working.
All right, let me
At
check
least
it.
for Facebook.
Let me see.
Yeah, because I know even the game made a video about him.
Yeah, dude, a lot of people hate him.
This is whiskey?
This is all publicity, though, for him.
Oh, yeah.
It's good publicity.
There it is.
Oh, there we
the
go.
Mayweather of rap right now.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, whiskey.
Good job, Larry.
Is it on there?
Yeah, it's
I'm not seeing it. Let me see. Oh. Oh, yeah. That was me.
Oh,
So it works.
shit,
We
son.
fixed it, guys.
Well, at least the Facebook version, and then what we'll do is we'll go back and upload the video, because what we're doing now is kind of what saved our ass last time with the YouTube video.
Yeah.
Is it's recording as it's going live, so then I can just go back and upload the video to YouTube later
Oh, okay.
at the end of the episode.
All right, so, yeah.
But it won't let me share it to my page.
What the fuck?
You sure? Hold on. Here, I'm going to share it.
It shares it to whiskey.
No, I think I shared it to my page right now. Yeah, I just shared the link.
The YouTube one?
No, it's on Facebook now. We're just going to do on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, look, share.
Yeah.
So you go on Facebook.
Oh, because it
and
says
then,
right here, right to whiskey, that's why.
Right, post.
Let me see. Copy the link.
Oh, hold on. Post. What the fuck?
Was it not sharing?
Hold on a sec. Copy link. Oh, okay. So share, copy link, and then you should be able to go to your profile and then
Okay.
share it that way.
Got it.
Let's see if we can.
Oh, I see what happened.
Oh, okay. So then now you should be able to go to your page. Post.
I just shared it from the page.
There we go. I just did it.
Yeah, I just did the link right now. So you're going to have to copy the link and then post it.
Well, I think us, because we're the...
Because we manage it.
Oh,
that's
because
why.
we
that's
manage
why.
it. That's why.
So
Okay,
that's-
So
never
it
mind.
shows
should
up.
be good then.
Yeah, it shows up kind
And
of
then
weird.
I think you can post a link on your Instagram and
Yeah,
all
that,
that good
that's
stuff.
what I do.
Cool. Yeah, because the YouTube's not running right now, right?
No.
Okay.
So I'm
We're running the live. We're running the live video through.
That's what I love that you put on there. That's
Yeah.
just tight.
What is it?
Our logo on the corner.
Oh, you can do that?
How to throw that in there, dude?
Yeah.
Damn.
I can make it take up the whole video.
That's legit, man. That's some damn science. Wait,
Yep.
no, not really. It's technology. Well, I guess science.
Fuck.
Oh, yeah.
man.
Let me taste
Hello?
this.
No shit.
Cheers, man.
This is well earned today,
Cheers.
son.
Cheers.
Thank you,
Cheers.
guys.
Thanks.
It smells good.
That's actually pretty good.
Still bad. Scissor Tub Distillery. Product of Moore, Oklahoma.
Oh, it feels so good. Oh, that smoky flavor. It's
Yeah. A little bit. Vanilla
like it.
in there. Vanilla.
really smooth.
I had heard, it's funny because I guess it goes to show you can't really trust what other reviewers say, but I've heard other reviewers that they weren't particularly fond of it. I think this is good.
It's really smooth.
It is smooth.
Yeah.
One of the reviews I heard, because the dude said, I mean, they wanted more ABV, But I think this is perfect.
It's fine.
This is perfect.
It's fine. What is this?
I don't even know what
yeah.
the ABV is.
80 proof, so it's pretty low.
It is pretty low.
Yeah.
It's 40% alcohol.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Shall we start the recording and then, or
Yeah, whenever you guys are ready.
I like it better than the Buffalo Trace.
yeah, the Buffalo Trace?
I agree.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Whiskey Talk with Three Dudes, episode 44.
What's up, guys? Today's episode, once again, is brought to you by Brian Mason at Gavel Law Firm, guys. If you guys need any legal advice or representation, contact Brian. Also brought to you by the Juan Aguirre team at Remax. Guys, have you guys seen the houses he's been posting lately?
Dude,
Yeah,
they're
he's been
fucking
fixing
nuts,
them up
man.
really
It's so
good.
nice.
Yeah.
The way he fixes them up, and
Well,
it's awesome.
You know, it's a lot of it too. I'm not gonna trash talk because it's done great.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, it's like, man, like it's just well, let's just say that the after pictures, the photography on it is a lot better. But even still, because it's good because it shows off the work, right?
Right.
I mean, dude, some of those houses, man, it's hard to believe that they're even like the same house. But
know,
it's like,
it's-
you have to look at the details, right? Like, oh, that window's still in the same place, and you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Juan Aguirre at Remax and Fast, Simple, and Sold, guys. If you guys are in a pinch, in a bind, and just call Fast, Simple, Sold. You want to get your house sold? I mean, the name says it all.
To get your cash, son.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look 'em up.
Thanks, guys. And today we are having Leadslingers, and it's Eddie. I think you got some details written down on it, right?
I do. I was doing a little fact checking on Leadslinger, and I guess it was created in the winter of 2013. It was made by 7 combat veterans, so it's from different branches too. It was from the Army Rangers Forces, U.S. Air Force, and Special Forces.
And happy
Yeah.
birthday to the Army. Yesterday was their.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it was a 200 or I forgot how.
I'm not
they were.
exactly sure. I don't
I
follow
don't
up with
know.
that.
1775. I
Yeah.
can't do the math.
Yeah. One of the things is these guys have some of the guys involved have their own podcasts. They're
Oh, nice.
I still haven't listened to it because I'm way behind on even my own podcasts, like stuff that I like to listen to.
Yeah.
But they have their own page. It's fucking huge. It's the Drinking Bros. Part of their group. A lot of military veterans there, and just general people talking shit and having fun. And it's
That's what it's all about.
it's a pretty cool group. And it's broken down even by like, it's such a big group that like there's the main group and then there's a whole bunch of subgroups for like categories and stuff
Nice.
because it's just that crazy. So
How do you like this, Oscar?
The whiskey?
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, listening to your guys' previous podcast about, you guys talked some truth about, was it Jack Daniels?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack
Yeah.
Daniels. And then after listening to it, I messaged that. I was like, okay, let me get some recommendations. This by far, though.
Like,
It's not bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's light.
Yeah, I was talking about before, and we might have caught the tail end of the conversation, at least in the recording or in the live stream. But I will go on record because we're going to post this after. But man, it goes to show, right, that your taste is really subjective. Like there was a couple of reviews that I had read that didn't particularly care for it. And quite honestly, I think that like to me, I like it, but because it's like it's not very complex. It's good. There's some flavors there. But it's not like this is something you drink if you're just gonna chill out. You need a drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of hang out. I don't know that it's enough as far as the flavors and stuff to kind of stand up maybe in a cocktail.
No.
On its own though, I think it's good. It's not overly sweet. The low proof makes it so that it's not overly, intimidating. I think this whiskey is good for people that maybe don't necessarily drink it, and it'd be a good starter. I think.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
You could-
I love the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
It's just
Very simple,
there,
straightforward.
yeah.
Yeah.
And good point on the whole cocktail thing. I don't think it would stand up in a cocktail. It would just disappear in there, get lost in the sauce, as one of my friends would say.
Yeah.
Um,
I still haven't added water to this, so I don't think it's gonna do a whole lot, but we'll try it.
Let's see. They also have other spirits in
They
there.
have Fighting Spirit, which is their rye.
Their
I
rye.
believe.
Yeah. Yep, that is their rye.
And I've seen that in at Total Wine. Again, kind of like, maybe we'll have to pick up a few more, see if we can change Eddie's mind on rye.
On rye.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
he's not
Yeah,
crazy about
well,
it.
Some of them, not that many. I think
They also have a rum. They have a rum. They have.
Oh, we want to do a shout out to Carlos because he's the one that got that for us.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he did. That's right. Thanks, Carlos. Carlos
Yeah.
Magana.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
In adding like just a drop of water to this, it did make it a little bit sweeter for me, but it didn't change it a whole lot other than that.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I just put a little small drop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
put
just a tiny drop, and yeah, I don't know that I'm gonna put ice in this. Honestly, I think it
I'm
would
gonna try
just-
it with ice.
I don't know. I don't think the
Cause you know science.
yeah go for it.
Science.
Shit. Yeah, I don't know.
And the name is science. One thing I am noticing is helping my throat a lot. No homo.
Yeah. You kind of like when you first got here, you kind of sounded like shit.
I did.
You're starting to sound a little bit better now.
Yeah,
for
we
us.
look like shit too, but we can't change
That's,
that.
I can't help that.
That's from birth, you know.
I can't help that.
That's if we drink enough, that might help.
Oh, maybe,
Right.
maybe,
Yeah,
maybe.
that might help.
yeah, the beer goggles and stuff.
I'll tell you after half the bottle right now.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm pretty, goddammit.
Yeah, this one's probably gonna go quickly because this is pretty easy to drink.
A little too easy to drink.
Yeah.
A little too easy.
Right.
But yeah, on Thursday all day I had a really bad migraine. Then, Wednesday I had a bad migraine.
Dude, I think it started last week. You were coughing quite a bit.
Was I?
Yeah.
Last week.
Yeah, you were.
So I think it might have even started from then.
Maybe, but I wasn't feeling sick though. But Wednesday I had a bad migraine. Thursday I woke up. I had a bad, really bad sore throat. And then this morning I woke up and I had a really bad cough, really bad. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have to call in sick. I don't want to be that asshole getting everybody sick at work.
Yeah.
So I decided to come here and get you guys sick.
All
Fuck it.
right.
But this is definitely helping.
Yeah, we have whiskey, so hopefully that should
Yeah.
prevent some of the. That should help with the immune system. I
Yeah.
don't think it works that way, but
No, I
fuck
don't
it.
think so either. But today, all I did was just best thing for when you're sick is like a lot of sleep, a lot of fluids, a lot of vitamin C.
Whiskey's a fluid.
Yeah.
Exactly, that's
Yeah,
why.
so
Man.
there you go.
I should have worn my shirt today when it says whiskey helps because it's helping.
Yeah, there you go. So who's here with us, man?
Today we have Oscar Ortiz. Mr. Oscar, introduce yourself,
You
buddy.
guys, hey, what's good? 3 whiskey dudes.
Welcome.
So, man, where'd you grow up at? I mean, where you from, Messi?
Yeah.
So Salato. So I am. So the way I like to describe myself, I'm a person who grew up in the streets of Santa Ana, that got some education, that was able and exposed to some very great people, that got educated, that is infused with hip hop and corridos.
Oh,
Nice.
corrido.
And I love my country. I love both flags, and sometimes it's not a very popular.
Not lately, right?
Yeah.
Man. It's
Yeah.
like-
It almost seems like you have to be. I mean, and even with just politics in general lately, it seems you have to be like one side or the other. It's like
Oh, yeah, man.
each side demands 100% from you. And if you disagree with one, they call you names. If you disagree with the other one, they
Yeah.
call you
Call
names.
your names. Yeah.
It's just unfortunate, man. I mean, the world is full of grays. It's not all black and white, and
No.
I
and
think
they're
we
trying
can-
to make it black and white. So
Yeah.
that's the problem.
It's unfortunate. So, yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah, that's crazy. I don't want to go off on that tangent just yet.
Okay, we can save that for later.
Yeah.
But what do you do,
Yeah.
Oscar?
Man, recently I went back to school. I was in after school education for about 6 years. Started off as a football coach. I was like, hey, you know what? I like working with kids. Started off middle school, and then I became an after school director at
Nice.
the elementary level. Did that, like I said, for about 5 years, working in after school education, working with youth for about 6 officially.
Nice.
I had about 100 kids, 4 staff. The way I like to look at it is I ran a small 200 to 300 man organization. And the reason why I say that is because every student, for the most part, has a parent or two. So you add all the parents
Oh, yep.
plus the kids.
Because they got to be involved.
Plus, I mean, I would have meetings with the principals, the teachers who ask stuff from you, the custodian because he left a piece of trash in the cafeteria. Shout out to Mr. Hector. And then, everything that the company wanted me to enforce at site, and then also including my vision of what I wanted my students to experience. So I went back to school. Hopefully, when I grow up, I become a teacher. And I really have a passion of working with youth and trying to make impact, especially on these young 18, 19-year-olds.
Right.
I'm only 28, but to me, they're kids, especially when I'd interview them for the company. They would come in. My abuelita would be like, todos rompidos, because como se le mordían los perros, like literally to an interview for after school education, they would come in with torn jeans,
Yeah.
like Vans, It's looking like they just got off the bus, and I know there's some people that don't have, the means to get interview clothes, but
Right.
there's an effort that could be made, whether tucking in your shirt, and
Yeah.
you're
Just ironing
rocking
your
a tee.
shirt,
exactly,
stuff like that. Yeah.
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 I mean, you can go to. I mean, well, I don't know, because Goodwill's been pretty expensive lately, man.
Kidding
I was
me?
gonna say you can go to Goodwill
All
and
the
buy some
fucking
clothes.
hipsters ruined it.
Gosh, I remember you could just buy a shirt for like $2, $3. Now it's like
Nah,
you
yeah,
might as well go
yeah.
to a department store.
Absolutely.
Go to fucking Ross, man. Dude, I mean,
I love going to Ross and
Yeah.
Marshalls. Salvation Army is still pretty decent. It's not too bad. I still love going there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, yeah. I think it's great that you're working with kids, especially a person of your views, where
Thank you.
you're more of you're patriotic. You're very, like you said, you're very proud of to be an American. You're very proud of your Mexican culture, but also, I mean,
Absolutely.
I notice you're more of a conservative type, and typically in education, for
It's
the
not
most
very
part,
common,
it's
Yeah.
not very common. You get more, more of the liberal view and stuff. I just think there has to be some type of balance.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I can tell you from experience of talking with the teachers, there's a lot of conservative teachers out there. It just, because of mainstream media, mainstream thinking,
Yeah.
like, for example, in the last 6 months, I talked to an old teacher from high school and a professor
Yeah.
who was my professor like 3-4 years ago. And they both literally said that they're being kind of retrained to use the proper pronouns. Right,
Wow.
because of lawsuits, potential lawsuits, right? So,
Right.
and like I think Eddie, you said it in that gray area that everyone's trying to now make black and white. It's really hurting just society in general now in education. It's difficult for the kiddos and for teachers to teach. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
They're out there.
it's one of those things that I mean, even just in everyday environments, right? You kind of have to keep some of those views on the lowdown. I mean, I kind of try, but you know how that goes. Like, I mean, even here, right? Like, it kind of comes out, but at least the people that I work with, they're tolerant enough to kind of
Yeah.
we laugh about it because we make fun of each other there at work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's a good relationship that way, but in a lot of places, that's really not something that you want to discuss.
Right.
I feel like now it's like freedom of speech, how they used to say. Now it's like more structured. They want to structure the speech or you're trying to have.
There's no more freedom.
Exactly.
No.
especially if they start doing the same thing Canada does with hate speech.
Yeah. Well, because there's no First Amendment right there.
Right. But
Yeah.
I mean, in Europe, you can be criminally prosecuted for memes.
Yeah, I heard about
Wow.
that. What's it called? The EUCD or something like that? It's some law they're trying to pass all over Europe. Hopefully it doesn't come over here, but that law is supposed to censor pretty much the use of copyright images. Like, even in thumbnails, you know how in thumbnails you get like previews of certain videos or whatever. You won't be able to use that. You won't be able to use memes. You won't be able to use GIFs or GIFs, whatever side of the GIF or GIF dilemma you're part
It's
of.
not graphic.
It's-
It's graphic.
But it's not. I mean, it's not. I don't know, man. Okay, it's not giraffe. It's giraffe.
Yeah.
Right.
But the
GIF. GIF.
But what does the first initial stand for in GIF? Graphic.
Graphic.
Graphic. I guess you're right. You're right.
Well, the
There's something
creator
like
the
that.
creator trolled everybody and said that he pronounces it GIF. So I think he fucked it up for everybody.
But yeah, it's supposed to censor all that, and I think in Spain and what other country was it? It's failed. I mean, it's failed miserably, that law or whatever, and they're trying to pass it all over Europe, and it's failed. I mean, I don't think it's cool.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, a lot of the, as much as it seems like, some people take kind of their freedoms for granted, and I think a lot of people do. It's one of those things we don't think about, especially with thinking when it comes to those laws. Like, that's kind of your first reaction, right? When you read that, you're like, what the fuck? Like, the government can do that. One of the, and it's funny. I posted an article or a screenshot of the mayor of London, and he was going off on a tweet about how it's only 17% of women are editors of Wikipedia articles, and it's like, dude,
Of all the issues.
you have in your city, your people being stabbed to death have surpassed the overall murder rate of New York City. Like, and that's what you're worried about? Fucking people who, the gender of people who are editing Wikipedia articles? It's like, fuck, dude, come on. You know?
Yeah.
And we see it to a lesser degree, but I think it's, you know, at least we can call people on that. Like, I don't know if because if you go on some of the accounts, and it's funny because it's like I realize that a lot of these people have, like, a lot of these politicians don't post their own shit. Like, it's all social media managers or whatever that are posting shit for them, and of course they never engage. But it's like, go on the Facebook page for Gavin Newsom, or even, you know, some of your more local representatives, and you'll have people in there just talking mad shit. Like,
sometimes it's entertaining. Sometimes.
Oh,
it's
dude. Yeah, I like to join. So, but it's like one of those things. It's like, imagine like somebody doing that in London.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very strong possibility that they can get prosecuted for that.
Yeah, man.
You know,
your whole
for
life will
voicing,
change.
for voicing their opinion. Like, it's weird, man. It's a weird dynamic when you think that the internet is worldwide, but you know, your rights aren't the same, you know, depending on where you are. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
Crazy.
And just to add to that, Larry, I think it's important for people to know, like, where our Constitution came from, and not where it came from, because obviously it came from, you know, but is, I guess, understanding what inspired the first 10.
Right.
Right? Like, what inspired the first 10.
Yeah.
This
Why
is what
is-
inspired the first 10. This is why they're here. And if you're trying to go backwards, study history and what caused those 10 to come out.
Right.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that a lot of the times this limitation is placed on the Second Amendment. It's, the founding fathers could have never imagined,
Machine
you know,
guns.
machine guns and high capacity magazines. And it's like, look, at the time when it was written, it's a very quick history lesson. I'm not going to go very deep into it, but at the time it was written, the weapons that the average that the people, the average soldier was fighting the redcoats with was superior
Yeah.
to what the standing army had. Now, a little bit of detail on that, on why it's superior, right? And why these weapons were, you know, extra deadly, if you want to put it that way. Even in their single shot configuration, their muzzle loading, they take, you know, a good, you know, 30 seconds to 45 seconds to reload for the next shot, right? So the British were armed with the Brown Bess, which was effective, which was a smoothbore musket, which was effective to about 50 yards. And even that was marginal, right? Now, you had the people that were in the rebellion, the people that were fighting for the U.S., or at the time, you know, before the U.S. was formed.
Yeah.
They were fighting with rifles that were capable of putting accurate fire out to 200 yards.
Damn.
So, you know,
Not only that, I also read, I forgot where I read it, but the machine gun was around at that time as
yes,
well.
there was
Before that.
yes.
Frank one.
Yeah.
Gatling one.
Yeah. No, there was. I think that it wasn't necessarily the Gatling gun. It was the Puckle gun, which was invented before that, and it's similar concept, right?
It
It's
is.
a crank. It's multiple barrels, and the fire rate is a lot faster than, you know, a standard single shot rifle. So that is just a quick lesson in that.
Yeah.
And okay, if we're gonna limit our rights to what the forefathers could have seen, that means that on a computer, on books, we don't have
Right.
because our book printing technology now far exceeds
What they had.
what they had at the time. You know, the letters that they were passing back and forth, it wasn't via email; it was pen and quill.
Yeah.
And it took a guy on a horse to deliver it to, you know, somewhere else. Now you can email anybody in the world, and it takes 15 seconds, 10
Shit.
seconds,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
that, right? So
even then, we're like so impatient too. Like, why is this not delivering?
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that's a mentality, and it's an excellent point. Is not necessarily like where our rights came from, but necessarily it's necessary to study the intent of those rights, in the time period, right? And why they were enumerated in the way that they were. The Constitution does not grant us rights. That's it tells us it enumerates rights, and it's made in a way to kind of it's a limit on government instead of being a hey, this is what you as an individual can do.
Right, and I see a reversal of that. I see like now people, unfortunately, they want more government, and
Yeah, but
they don't see that. Like it's like
No.
you want the government to take care of you. Like I don't want that. Like I don't. The more power you give to the government, I mean, the less rights you have.
exactly.
In the name of what? Safety.
Yeah, and even not necessarily for just gun rights, but for everything else. There's a lot of the term hate speech is being thrown around a lot more lately.
If you disagree with someone, that's hate speech.
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like, is it free speech or is it hate speech, right? Like, I mean, in my opinion, you have the right, the complete right to say some absolutely entirely racist shit. You should be able to. However,
You also have the right
free-
to get your ass beat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not free from the consequences.
No.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you decide to say, some words to somebody and then at that point, however they decide to take it,
Yeah.
that's but the basis for that should not be like I have an opinion in this. Oh, well, I disagree with that. That's hate speech.
Yeah.
No. I think that's been diluted. And again, it's one of those things. It's controlling language, right? It's maybe not necessarily controlling what you can say, but it's
Right.
how you can say it.
And that's dangerous. I mean, once again, bringing up Jordan Peterson, that's what he's fighting against in Canada. He's a professor in Canada fighting against that law of like, oh, you have to. If you don't use, this certain speech, you're going to be prosecuted.
It's a crime to misgender somebody.
Right.
If today you, Edgar, identify as a woman,
I do.
and I accidentally refer to you as a he, well then now I'm a criminal.
Right.
Because maybe you look like a man, or maybe I've known you my entire life as a man, and all of a sudden you just decide, you know what, being a man is not for me. Now I'm a woman.
Right.
And if I misgender you, that could be a crime.
His view on it is that like if you ask me to address you in a certain way, then I'll do it. But don't expect me. Don't
Assume to.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't expect me to make it a law to like you have to. It's like no. It's like
It's a courtesy.
It's a courtesy. You know?
Yeah, it's it's a respect thing too.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean,
Everybody deserves respect. And,
Yeah.
and, yeah.
absolutely, man. And
They do until they take it away.
Well-
but until the fact where they're being assholes or
I
dicks,
agree.
and then you're like,
Yeah.
you know what?
I see.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Were you gonna say, Oscar?
Well, just to kind of add to that whole what you guys were alluding to as far as taking something the wrong way, right? I really think that starts again with the kids, as far as in education and the way that they're training the kids to think, right?
Right.
So, for example, I have one of my students, amazing young man. He was a second grader at the time, and the way that I had my classes set up, I had 4 groups. One group was first and second. One group was third and fourth. Third and fourth, and then the third group was fourth and fifth. So the fourth graders that were more mature, I put them in with the fifth graders, and then I had 6th graders, right? And so those are 4 classes. So I had a little second grader. This kid could kick, catch, no fear when it came to sports, right?
Yeah.
Everything you want in a young little boy, right? No fear, wasn't afraid to get, dirt on him, scratch himself, nada. I set him up with the 6th graders. I was like, you know what, buddy, come here. I'm gonna set you up with the 6th graders. Do you feel comfortable playing with 6th graders? His eyes just lit up like, put me in, coach.
Yeah.
Put me in.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, Papa, get it, right? I saw this kid kick. He kicked super far. Right?
Yeah.
He caught a bullet of a ball to him, right? I was blown away. This little kid is maybe as far as my man right here. Right here. Right? Like he was small. He was smaller than most of the 6th graders. Weighed about 100 pounds less than the 6th graders. Right. The next day, I wanted to praise him in front of the entire program because a little 2nd grader
Right.
carried his weight with 6th graders.
yeah.
So I make an announcement, man, I want to make a shout out to so-and-so. Man, he was kicking the ball farther than some of my 6th graders, catching balls better than some of my 6th graders. Better than some of my 6th graders.
Right.
Underline
right.
it. An hour later, one of my 6th grade girls, she was amazing. Never made any type of nuisance, was always good, right? She's like, Mr. Ortiz, I need to talk to you. I was like, yeah, what's up? I don't think it was nice of what you said earlier. I was like, what? What are you talking about? Well, you said that so-and-so kicks better than some of the 6th graders and kicked farther, and that can hurt people's feelings.
Oh, no. That I disagree.
I wish you would have seen my face. Because I made the face for like a second, like, no mames.
Yeah. we all know that
Right?
face.
Like, no mames. But then I went professional. I was like, Irene, I apologize if I said anything I wasn't supposed to. But I meant that in such a great way. I meant that in a positive way for so-and-so.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's like, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm the most athletic person in the world. But it would be one of those things, right? It's like if I heard that, I was like, dude, the 2nd grader's doing better than me. It's like, dude, I better step my shit up.
Exactly.
And I bet some of your
Exactly.
students did take it that way.
I hope
they might.
did.
They might have. Because again, that goes back to I guess in how you're raised and how you take things, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I can't go back to my 6th grade self and try to think of it that way.
I think we're just indoctrinated with, well, not us, but I mean, because we're older now, but our kids are more indoctrinated about your feelings mattered.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
back in the day, I mean, come on, think about it. If our feelings
Another
mattered.
Another thing to note though is that this was a little girl, so that's a whole different dynamic.
Right.
I see this in my daughter. Like it's like, for her, like it's feelings are already a thing. She's
Right.
3.5 years old.
I recognize
Where
that.
it's like it's a little boy. Like if you punished him a certain way, it would be different than if you punished a girl. I mean, you would know, right? You have both.
Well, yeah, I have
Right?
both.
Like
Like,
the-
I have to go different with my daughter. Like my daughter,
The
I can't
discipline is
yell.
different, yeah.
Exactly. I can't yell at her. I have to actually
Talk
sit
to
down
her.
and talk to her.
Yeah.
My son, another reason, I was like, pendejo. No, I don't say that. I'm just
We're simple creatures.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. But that's different. I could be more rough,
Yeah.
a little bit more rough with him. Like
Yeah.
where then my daughter has to be more
Right.
sensible to her.
So what I was gonna say, I mean, imagine if feelings mattered back in the day. Let's say when you had to fend for yourself, hunt for your own food.
Yeah.
So you know what? I don't know. I don't want to.
They did matter. If you were a shitty hunter, you felt fucking hungry.
Right.
And
That's how you would die.
And you
would not
bring that
you would
point
not
is like
survive.
is like when they grow up and they have to go into the real world, like say sales world. The only way I'm bringing it up is
yeah.
that's what I do.
Yeah.
You're out there, they'll chew you up and spit you out if you're not doing your job. They'll tell you, hey, this guy could sell like a motherfucker,
Yeah.
and then you can't sell like shit. He's like, and he's younger than you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They bring it out like that to you. It's
But that's
cool.
even that's shifting, dude, in the workplace. It has
Oh
to.
yeah,
You know, I mean that's the thing is again, that may be a motivator for a lot of us, but for a lot of people, like
I know
dude,
they take it the wrong.
yeah. Jason was saying that agreed. Little girls are far more emotional than
Yeah.
fathers.
they
But
are. Yeah,
for
of
me,
course.
dude,
Yeah.
and that's another thing that like I've started to focus more on is I mean I don't like. It's very rare that I yell at my daughter because if I raise my voice to her, like, dude, it's worse than if I swatted her.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Shatters
I
the
agree.
world.
And you know what I love? I like that you mentioned that book last time, the
Yeah.
audiobook. I've been listening to it.
I gotta read that book.
What do you think of it so far?
Dude,
if you haven't finished it,
It opens your eyes to different.
Right?
Yeah.
Once again,
Like
what's the name of the book?
Stronger Fathers, Strong Daughters.
Stronger Fathers, Stronger Daughters. I gotta read that because
It's
someday
it's amazing
God
because
willing.
there's some stuff in there that I was like, oh, shoot. I was
Like it makes sense.
it makes
right?
sense. That's why.
I think it'd be a good book to read. I mean, even if you don't have a daughter, you'd probably be able to.
You're an uncle, dude. You'll
Yeah.
you'll be there's another one that actually doesn't focus so much on gender specific things. And there's another one that and I'll give you guys the title of that. Well, I guess I could look it up. No, because it's gonna launch the.
Well, I was gonna say that book would probably help you more with your relationships with the women in your life.
Yeah, of course.
How do we
Oh, yeah.
interact with them?
Yeah, of course.
Which
I
I think I definitely believe that us as men have to or need to. I mean, understand how
Yeah,
women
absolutely.
think and
Absolutely.
believe.
Yeah, like for example, for myself, I want to become a better husband, a better son, a better brother, and on top of that, hopefully, the Lord blesses me with some kids. I want to be a good dad, a
Yeah.
decent
Right.
dad, right? And so I will absolutely hop on top of that bandwagon that you said. To even if you don't have kids. I mean, I don't have kids, but yet I've experienced so much working with kids.
Yeah, being an educator. I mean, a lot of the stuff you might have seen it, and
Yeah.
in listening to this book, you'll kind of like think like it'll kind of like click,
Well,
like certain
absolutely.
experiences you've had in the past. But yeah, I think it's
Absolutely.
I mean, it's
and
a
even
good-
in talking with my students, how you guys were talking about how talking to your daughter differently versus your
Right.
Yeah.
absolutely the same thing with my students.
Yeah.
I can't go in with a mean face with one of my with my girls because they get intimidated. That's never
Yeah.
when I had my job at the time. That was never my goal. My goal was to always understand the student, what's causing this. Because man, these at least with my students, man, hearing some of their stories, it's like wow, no wonder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know where
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Where it comes from.
or a lot of the educators that I've talked to in the past, like especially when they meet with parents, like then it like okay, it makes sense, like it does, like it makes you understand like okay, like that's where some of that comes from.
Absolutely, and then it becomes all of a sudden, someone else's job to help raise your child / my student because they're not getting it at home.
Yeah,
Well, especially when they say, "Well, my mom doesn't care." Okay, that's cool. You're at your mom's house. Right now, you're in my house.
yeah,
Okay? In this class, then
yeah.
I care, so you gotta
I
do
care,
it.
so
You better do
I
what you've
care.
been doing.
no,
yeah, yeah. No, that's cool, man.
Pass me the whiskey. So
course.
before we go on,
you're really sick.
I really am. I need this
know.
medicine, man. I'm an OD on this medicine.
That's pretty good.
With the ice, it's a lot more dangerous because it's a lot more smoother.
And
Oh,
it's
of
cooler,
course. I
too.
mean, it's at 80 proof, dude. So
It's,
once it waters it down a little bit,
This is a summer drink.
it goes down
Yeah,
easy.
yeah.
So easy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's like I said, I'll give you the name of the other one as a follow up because it does kind of cover some of the same things. But since you have boys too, like it'll cover a lot of that
The boys
too.
too?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's helpful just to get some knowledge on some different perspectives.
Yeah, I
of
mean,
people,
she's a doctor. She's a pediatrician. So and there's a lot of
That's
stories.
there's the one I'm reading right now.
Yeah, same author. There's some of the and there's a lot of the stories of like kids that she's worked with, parents that she's worked with, like intermixed in there. So I think that from that part it helps out. So I mean, it's I don't know. I think it's very beneficial. At least for me, it has been so far. And I mean, like anything, right? Like it gives you a good foundation, and then you kind of have to learn on your own to,
Yeah.
your own style of parenting or whatever.
Yeah.
At least in the second one that I'm listening to, it kind of tells you like, you know what, maybe your parents were absolutely an example,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
in a positive or negative way, but they were an example, you
Right.
know?
And,
Yes.
and parenting's not cookie cutter.
No,
No.
it can't be.
I remember the first time I had my first son, and we took him home, and I'm like, me and my wife look at each other like, what do we do now?
There's no manual.
I know.
No.
So what do we do now? It's like, I guess we'll wait until he cries. He's probably hungry.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. But then we saw that process, and we grew, and we learned that we
Yeah.
have to get stuff, and then it's an amazing feeling.
And then the second one is completely different.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure.
the second one.
That's
The
how.
second one is like,
Yeah.
it's crying. He is fine.
So I got a question on behalf of both of us, that don't have kids.
I got a puppy.
When is the right time to have a kid? Or is there ever a right
not-
time to have a kid?
There's never
I don't know.
there's never a time.
Yeah.
I mean, at least from my perspective,
Mm.
I don't think it's such a big change that even if you think you're ready, you're not fucking ready.
Yeah, you're not ready.
But at that point, it's like, there's no going back. So you just go forward.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
pretty much.
Your life just changes.
No
You-
mulligans.
Yeah.
See, when I decided to have my son, me and her were like, she's like, okay, let's wait a year or two, and then we'll do it. And I'm like, okay. And then once we did it, then I'm like, okay, here we go. Agárrate.
yeah.
Vámonos. Agárrate. No, but, and then, yeah, it's true because you don't know.
Yeah.
You just jump into it. It's just like anything else. You just have to go for it. And
So is it like a financial thing, or is it like a?
Can I give my input?
Yeah, absolutely,
Go
man.
for it.
So even though I don't have kids, I do have a little Yorkie. So
What's your Yorkie's name, by the way?
man, that's a whole nother story. But check it. My Yorkie's name. Okay, so I grew up on 2.5 acres. Once we got into high school, Lord bless my parents with some good work and 2.5 acres. Right, I grew up with like 4 or 5 German shepherds at a time.
Ooh,
Damn.
Right?
I love German Shepherds.
So,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
They're cool dogs.
amazing.
Amazing dogs.
And so my wife was like, "Oh, I want a Yorkie." What the hell is that, ratitas? Right. So I go from having 4 or 5 German shepherds to this little Yorkie.
Right.
I didn't want her in the beginning, right? So I was like, you know what? Let's call her Susia. She's like, we can't call her Susia. Can't call your dog daughter. I want to call her Minnie. I was like, babe, that's the whitest white person dog name ever.
And by the way,
Minnie.
your wife is Caucasian, right?
She's Caucasian American, yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
And yes, for the viewers, my wife is white. Surprise. So we came to an agreement. How many marriages do it? We called her Mini Susie.
Mini Susie.
So in translation, it's Mini Dirty Girl.
Yeah.
Damn.
But sorry,
Dirty Diana.
yeah, pretty much. But like for example, I wanted kids, man, right from the jump. Like I was ready. After the padre said, "No me padre, vámonos."
Yeah.
Game time.
Give me 10 seconds, I'll be right there, right?
Sometimes it's all it takes.
Because I've been with my wife since we were 16. We're 28 now, so that's 12 years,
That's the
right?
longest.
Dude,
Yeah.
I gotta say, man, that's awesome, man. Congratulations
I
to you guys,
appreciate it,
because
sir.
that's a rarity.
Man, shout out to my wife, man. If it wasn't for her love and the Lord just blessing us and opening my eyes, never would have happened.
Right.
But the track I was going on is that if it was up to me,
Yeah.
especially with primos and family members, they had kids when there's, you know, you have that example if anyone can have kids anytime, and it works, right?
Yeah.
My wife, though, she wants to wait till we have a house, you know,
Oh,
and
see?
because I'm not the one
Yeah.
popping them out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've noticed
And-
my Caucasian friends, even my girlfriend, they're more structured.
Yeah.
Us, we're like, I'm just like,
Fuck it.
let's do it.
No, but to answer your question, when you're ready,
Yeah.
that's pretty much how we did it too. That's where our thought was is okay. We got our dogs first, which is Mickey and Benji. That's
Right.
who we had first before we got married.
okay?
So we had them, and we grew up and you know with them, and then we took care of them and stuff. And then after that, we're like, okay, if we're gonna have kids, we have to have a house. Same concept, and we waited. We got our house. Once we did, we waited. Then we had our first baby. So to answer your question, yeah, I think there should be a structure where you want to have kids because you have to bring the element of raising a kid and you have to structure it. You know, that's what I'm.
Oh, so
Yeah,
like the,
yeah,
the
and-
environment is what
yeah.
you're saying.
Exactly,
Like,
yeah.
okay.
If you're,
That's kinda where
if
we
you're
were
able
at.
to, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And that's kind of where we were at. I mean, we you know, we bought a home and then, you know, we had our daughter, but you know, it's one of those things, and that doesn't happen for everybody. And it's funny because I met up with my mom for lunch today, and you know, catching up on stuff, and of course the family drama, which I'm like, dude, I'm so glad I'm not involved in that shit. But you know, we started talking about kids, and
Yeah.
we were talking about like, you know, they're a lot of like even like. At least, and it's funny because we both kind of came to the same conclusion at the same time. We were like, you know what? Like, probably the least important thing once you have a kid and you see this, like, you can probably, like, financially, that's like, at first, when you don't have kids, you're like, that's your thought. Like, fuck, like, they're so expensive and this, that.
Yeah.
Dude, after you have a kid, you're like, you know what? Like, everything else is so hard. There's so much, like, responsibility. There's so much, like, to it. That like the financial aspect, you're like, dude, I'm fucking so far away from worrying about that. That there's like other stuff that is more, like it's more important. It comes
More
more
pressing.
like the priority is higher there.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I mean, I guess it's one of those things. It's like, you know, after a while, you learn how to make things work financially with a kid.
Yeah.
Babe, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Wife?
But it's one of those, yeah, it's one of those things that like you gain, like, and of course that's the trope of like you have kids and your first one, you buy everything, like all the expensive shit, they end up not using all of it, any of it. That happened for us, like bottles, dude.
Yeah.
We bought like all different shit, and didn't fucking use a single one.
So
Like,
when
That's
and
the
if,
worst.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
so
know what you're
when and if the Lord does bless me with kids, do not give me clothing. I want diapers.
No, you want
and
clothing.
formula.
Yeah.
No, but I mean I can buy clothing anytime.
But the thing about clothing, you see it. You say you bring a new baby, right? They don't wear newborn sometimes.
I know they
That's
don't.
true.
My point is like,
Dude, my daughter right
Yeah.
now, she's in like 7 and 18, dude. right
Dang.
now, and she's 3.5.
And my daughter, the
Wait,
one
what's
was
7 and
14.
18?
Months?
Months?
Yeah,
No, in like
no.
clothing size.
size.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
Toddlers?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but like 7, like it's I don't know what size clothes does your girl wear.
4T.
$4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
My daughter hasn't worn 4 in like
Yeah.
forever.
Since she was born.
Yeah,
She was born a 4T.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Dude, she's gonna be freaking tall, man. She's probably gonna play basketball or some shit.
What are your guys' aspirations as far for your kids? Like, what do you guys...
Fuck, man. I don't know.
Man,
I don't
that's a
even
good
know what
question.
I don't even know what my own aspirations are as for the
Yeah.
next 10 years.
Yeah.
Look, dude, like for me, I think as long as I can raise a daughter that first of all like respects herself, is happy, has a self-esteem,
Yeah.
like and doesn't depend on somebody to make her happy. Like that alone is huge, man. That'll avoid like
So much
so
drama.
many fucking problems,
So
dude.
much drama.
Yeah.
I agree with that, man.
And yeah,
And that's the thing is it's not only for girls, dude. Like I don't know, you can probably comment to it because you've seen a lot more kids than I have, but at least in terms of like a basis for raising kids these days, I think a lot of it what's lacking is this fucking self-respect, man. I think is once you have a self-respect and you have that like that will lead to your confidence. And like, you know what, like I'm an individual, like but I need to get after things that
Yeah.
make me happy, but are also, I can balance that
Yeah.
with work, you know?
So do you think like with Jackass, and also these videos of people doing stupid shit, and it's the coolest thing to be
Lighting
on these
themselves on
videos, lighting-
fire.
Yeah, not only that, I think that phase passed, but there's even more stupid stuff
yeah.
now. But I mean, I don't know. Do you think we kind of messed up with the whole Jackass era and like the whole like
I think
kind of glorifying being a dumbass?
well,
that's
it's like when we were growing up, we used to watch Ren and Stimpy or Rocko's Modern Life, and as cartoons. How bad were those? Or Beavis and
Oh,
Butthead.
dude, those were bad.
Yeah, but the
Ren
thing
and
is,
Stimpy was
the
bad.
thing is like we recreated this stuff, yeah, and maybe we did some of the same shit, but we didn't attempt to have an audience.
No,
Whereas like a lot of the
yeah,
a lot
that's
of
a
the
good
shit
point,
that's
yeah.
happening now, that
for likes.
yeah, exactly. It's for likes, it's for
for
clicks, it's for
likes.
views, it's for validation, and I think that's like, dude, if you get enough validation on your own, like in your own life, in your own ways, like you'll stop seeking that from other people.
And that goes back to the whole self-esteem thing. As long as you only worry about what you think about yourself, that's all you got to worry about.
Amen.
Right.
Yeah.
Underline self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See how you see yourself. I mean, who cares what people see you?
Yourself and the people you respect, because that's another important aspect.
Right. Yeah.
Is the I'm not liking the sound of that.
I don't either.
Uh-oh.
Is that the
It is.
GoPro?
Oh, yeah. it
Migra,
is. Hold on.
migra.
That's
Hold on a
all
second. Let me
right.
see.
That's all
right,
Because
guys.
I think the camera might be dying here.
No?
No.
Don't leave us.
No way.
Here.
No cargaste la cámara, güey.
Oh yeah, there it went.
It went? Oh, we'll be back right now. We'll be back.
Yeah.
The audio should still be playing.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
so it's good.
So there's no connection, but we're
There's
we're
no
trying to
video
fix
as
it.
far as the audio is good.
Just close your eyes and listen to the Three Whiskey Dudes reminisce.
yeah with your bottle of whiskey, whatever.
Dude,
you're
I
drinking.
watched that video you posted on Instagram about you guys knocking down that tree.
Yeah.
Dude, that shit was dope.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
What's going on?
So Oscar's in landscaping. Him and his family, they're in landscaping.
We're in everything, man.
Yeah. Tell
So
the story, brother.
So yeah. So my old man believes that you should know a little bit of everything, right? And so if there's an opportunity to get a job, hey, you know how
Yeah.
to do it. And so every once in a while, we'll get a job to chop down a tree. And so the way we do it, my dad likes to throw a little rope somewhere center mass or where you can get the most momentum coming down.
Right.
And so he'll cut it, and as it leans and it rocks, me and another guy, it's like we're using momentum to drop it itself and make sure it doesn't go backwards for whatever reason towards the fencing
or whatever.
Exactly. And yeah, man. And then I don't want to say it feels manly, but to see something so big and tall
Bringing it down.
and bringing it down.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Bringing it down.
Bringing it down, man. There's something manly about that. There's something fulfilling of
It's the feeling of conquering.
yeah. And I think it's something that honestly these kids need to learn is to. I know how Larry was talking about, about it all goes back to likes and how you said, self-confidence. I really think that all stems down to having a role model, whether it's a parent, a tío, tía, whatever, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And also, especially, for the boys, because honestly, because how Larry was saying, he, not to mix the words, but he wanted his daughter to make sure that she doesn't need someone else to feel appreciated, right?
Right.
Exactly.
And so, as men, we have this task of, people look towards men for leadership, and I'm not saying this in no 1940s type of way
Yeah,
where men run
that's
things.
the problem. Like right now, there's like this attack on masculinity, and that's a shame. I mean,
I will agree that there's bad masculinity.
Oh, absolutely. Me too.
But when you look at masculinity at its core essence, it can be a powerful and very positive thing.
there's a necessity for it.
Yeah, and through media, and again, boys just not having not having leadership, it gets twisted into what it means to be a man. I mean, look at Mexican culture and machismo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's some things that I love about Mexican culture and being a man, and there's some things where it's like, hey, man,
Yeah. Like
Yeah. You don't. Yeah.
like
it ain't
like don't beat your woman or don't belittle her or don't
or have 20
like,
side chicks and
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like respect your woman, man. Like the woman. I mean, I have the utmost respect for women.
Absolutely, they go through so much nonsense.
Oh, gosh,
They're put up with
yes.
so much nonsense.
Absolutely.
And they do so much.
Because
They
I'll
do.
admit, us as men, we can be idiots sometimes.
We're assholes.
Oh,
We
yeah,
are
man.
assholes.
Yeah,
We can
yeah.
be.
I tell my wife, hey babe, I love you, and I'm sorry for being an asshole from time to time.
It can
And I
happen, man.
appreciate you for putting up with me.
Absolutely, dude. And yeah, dude, like sorry. I like I think it's a necessity and it's lacking nowadays. What it means to be a real man. Like a book I'd recommend to read all the time is
Wild at Heart?
Wild at Heart. Thank you.
Yeah,
I had
that's a good
Eddie
book,
read it.
yeah.
That's a great book to read. Larry, I think said he had a copy of that, right, Larry? Yeah. I definitely recommend to read that, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and and teach your son or whatever how what does it define of being a man and stuff like that. Because
Yeah.
they need to learn that too.
Absolutely.
No.
And I think it just comes with time, I think
Oh, yeah.
masculinity does have to evolve, like how we're kind of talking about it.
Yes.
And like for one thing, to me, like again, coming from the after school education is showing my students, especially my men, my young boys, my like there is a time where my boys were calling girls thoughts, just blatantly disrespecting girls, man. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Sabes qué? We're gonna switch this up."
Yeah. Nope.
So I myself, I did the whole handshake as you come in. Monday through Friday, it was the official business handshake, Fridays, hey, what's up? Yeah, I don't. Let's get your ass inside, But like when we would come up to the door, I love it, man, because this is when I instilled it into the boys. I would say ladies, and they would say first. So all the ladies would go, it doesn't matter where they were.
Yeah.
They would go to the front of the line, and one of my boys would open the door. And then I would go in, ladies, welcome,
And
welcome.
Yeah.
And it's just
Yes.
doing little things like that,
Chivalry.
Yeah.
and explaining to them, that being a gentleman or being a man isn't just opening that door for women. It's opening it for men and women, regardless of age.
Yeah.
And understanding that courage and being brave doesn't mean to be an asshole to the teacher.
Yeah.
It means to stand up against the person that's being a doofus to the teacher. Like, hey, man, you need to stop that.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
Respect.
Yeah.
And that courage is not always a physical attribute, like the pancake house guy or the waffle guy who got up and took down the shooter.
Yeah.
Like that's courage. Absolutely, I'm not saying that that's not, but that's not the only version of it.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Courage is if you hear another dude say, like a joke about women.
It's like, hey, man,
Yeah.
tone it down. Like, I think also courage is the ability to be able to say, you know what, I was wrong.
Oh, dude.
Oh, that's a big one.
That's a big one.
That's
For
a
men,
big
dude,
one.
Yeah,
Big one.
and that's what I tell my boys too. Is that's the biggest probably hurdle for men. Is admitting they're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, especially like looking at just personal examples where if some of the men in my life just admitted that they were wrong, it could have removed half of the battles or even moments where I'm like, Oscar, just say you're wrong to your wife
Yeah.
and Pero no.
That's
I am-
that's the hard part, man. I mean, and I try to practice that more and more too. It's like, dude, you gotta. I'm fucking 34 years old, you know, and you know, and it's not a pride thing, but it's like one of those things. It's like, dude, I'm 34 years old, and I'm apologizing to a 3.5-year-old, but. You know, you have to. Like,
have
that's
to.
one of those things that, like,
Yeah.
you have to, like, admit, like, hey, dude, like, I can fuck up too.
Yeah.
You know?
And we're talking about like that takes courage. To
Oh, yeah,
admit
it does.
to admit you're wrong. Like
I commend my son because he got in a fight a couple weeks ago. Well, before school was ended, and
Yeah.
I was like, before that, backing up a little bit, I told him, look, if you're ever gonna get in a fight, the only thing I ask from you is tell me why, the reason why,
yeah.
and then don't lie to me. That's it. If you tell me those two things, I'm not gonna get mad at you.
Right.
Because first thing, you told me the truth, and second thing, you came to me or
See,
your mom.
But I love how what you did, you set expectations.
Yeah.
So that he's not just out there throwing fists.
Right.
Exactly.
So
Because you have to do that.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, the kid was bugging him and he punched him. And then he came home and he told my wife and then he told me. And then I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for telling me. He's like, now me and your mother are going to go and talk to the principal and we're going to figure this out.
Yeah.
And, you know,
We'll
and
take it from here.
exactly. And see, that's one thing that we didn't learn. That's why I love my wife. Because she actually, like, she'll come in and she'll be like, oh, how about if we do it this way? Because she's a more she sees it differently
More
than
of
I
a
do.
Pacifist
you know what I mean?
or okay. So there's the whole, you know, turn the other cheek thing. So a lot of people take that in the wrong context. Yeah, turn the other cheek, but that doesn't mean to run away and agree. It's
Well,
like
yeah,
you
yeah.
got to stand up for what's right.
Absolutely.
And that's, you know, and if you look at the context of, you know, turn the other cheek when someone does you wrong, it doesn't say to run away from it. It's like, no, it's like turn the other cheek, don't, you know, but still stand up for what's right. And if you're, you know, if someone's getting, you know, bullied or not even bullied, but like, you know, being bothered by this kid and this kid was not, you know, it's like, dude, stop it. Like, something's got to be done.
And it's funny because, you know what, because me and my wife, before we told him that, we were like, you know, I just walk away from the situation.
Mm-hmm.
We tried the whole, you know, and no, don't hit him and stuff like that. After like a month or two, it was on. We said, you know what, let's flip this around.
Yeah.
This is what's going on. If this happens again, this is what you can do. Just make sure you don't lie to us.
Right.
And we make that expectation with everything else.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm just gonna put it right.
if he gets in trouble or whatever, if you tell us first, you're not gonna get it as bad as if you don't tell us.
Right. That's one of the, and that's one of those things too that you kind of have to like instill. It's like, you know, you have to, like, if you do something wrong, and that's hard because there's adults that don't have this, right? But you have to like teach this to children. It's like, look, like you can make mistakes, but
Own up to 'em.
if you own up to it and you're willing to accept the consequences, which they may be bad, but if you lie about it and then I find out, then they're going to be worse.
It's going to be worse.
Exactly.
You know, and that's the thing is dude, that's a lesson that's learned, you know, and if you can't teach that at a young age, man, the potential for the consequences to be life-changing later on are even worse.
I learned that at a younger age. It's best to tell the truth and fess up than to try to cover it up. It's a lot simpler for everybody.
Yeah.
And you learn a lot more instead of like be like, oh no, I didn't do that. It's like,
Right.
no, I did.
Yeah.
Mom,
Yeah.
and
No,
you
it's
know what?
true.
I'm sorry.
And that would surprise. Then that surprises, you know, that surprises some people still, which is odd because it really shouldn't, right? It should be more common, but
should
it's
be.
not.
But it's not. Yeah.
And you know, as human beings, I think it's something that's, you know, we're still learning, and I mean things change, especially with the way we were able to share information now
Yeah.
Yeah.
as opposed to before. I mean, I'm excited about the future. I know some people are like doom and gloom, but I'm excited about the future just because.
Absolutely.
So, it's one of those
Yeah.
things. It's everything has a positive and a negative, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's especially. I mean, dude, like even just the stuff that we use, you know, technology for, and that's the thing is a lot of people like to blame technology for bad things that are happening.
Yeah.
Technology is just a thing. Like it's just
Right.
it's
It's
a
how
tool.
you use
It depends
it.
on how you use
Like
it. right?
guns,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
like guns, like people.
You can use it. You can use technology to reach out to people. You know, people that you know that may be struggling and maybe having a hard time. You know, you can use that to reach out to them and communicate with them and tell them, hey, dude, you know what? Like somebody does give a shit about you.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring this up too. I think there's also a certain thing as bad positivity.
Yeah, I agree. Certain things
Could you define that?
Yeah, you know, like the whole peace, love, and all this stuff. Like, there's got to be certain boundaries. Like, for example, water's good, right? But too much water, shit, you can drown, you can die. So there, like I said, once again, there's got to be a balance. So like positive, like okay, like acceptance. Okay, like accepting certain things. There's certain things you don't need to accept, and we don't need to accept. Okay.
Being unhealthy, like
Being healthy,
you know.
and there's this whole movement, believe it or not, about people that are pedophiles and have pedophile thoughts, and they're like, you know what, this is just we gotta normalize
It's how I love.
There's
It's
certain
like,
yeah,
no.
and here's the thing, and I've noticed a couple of instances of this happening, is that and I don't know if it's fake, I don't know what it is, but you know, sure. To me, like I don't mind if somebody is lesbian, if they're gay, if they're bisexual, whatever, you know.
That's their prerogative.
But that is one of the things that these that I've seen a couple of these activist groups are trying to group pedophilia into that.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Now there's different degrees of it.
Right.
It's all bad.
There's right. Well, here's the thing: is there's people that have those urges but never act on them.
Never do.
Right.
And
never
you know what?
ever would think about acting on it, but they have those urges.
And God bless them, and hopefully they make it through their whole.
And that's a fucking
journey.
struggle, man.
You know, it's a struggle, man.
But the moment that you cross that boundary, there's only one fix for you, man.
Yeah, there is.
And I was reading an article about pornography, and it was talking about pedophilia and how there are certain aspects of the porn industry that they play to that,
Oh yeah.
but it's like masked and it's okay.
Right.
Yeah, it's
you
down
know?
Well,
But
because
it's just
it's
downside.
legal. They'll pick girls that are really young looking, and then they'll do the stupid pigtail haircut, and
No, yeah.
and they'll dress them in like and they play to
Schoolgirl,
that, yeah,
like-
and they play to that, and that's the whole thing. Like that's a negative too. And then another thing with that too is the accessibility of pornography to young people.
It's damaging,
yeah.
right?
Man,
It's damaging. I've
You
read so
can't-
many articles on it, and it's seriously, it's one of the worst addictions you can have.
absolutely. So that's actually something that I've struggled with, just to be completely honest,
Of course,
and something
same
that I'm
here,
working
man.
on.
Yeah.
And yeah. So to all the viewers who know me,
No, it's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
But and it's something that's it's so easily available.
Oh, yeah,
I'm gonna be honest,
accessible.
man. So freshman year, you needed a disc, come talk to me. I'll rent it out to you.
Yeah.
You know.
But now
And-
you don't even need to do that.
Exactly.
I know. Just share a link.
And to me, you know, it's I have I'm a lot better than I was now. But there's when I tell my wife, like my wife she'll ask, and it's hard. I feel like a little kid.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah,
Like you have to try to hide it and shit.
yeah, and it's something that's horrible. And sometimes there's times where it's like, man, this makes no sense. Like why? It is way.
Yeah, and it's
Right.
and it's damaging because I mean, there's a lot more instances where, men have more trouble to perform in the bedroom because they have these expectations.
It's a conditioning thing.
It's a conditioning.
Well, not just that, and then
Yeah.
also the trend that we're seeing, like, and it was never made more obvious than, and people totally missed it, than this Elliot Roger guy, the guy that was that his whole video and why he ran over people.
Oh,
and
that one, the kid he was the son of a producer.
Yeah,
Producer?
yeah.
Yes.
Because he was raised in a way to where basically the dude had never heard the word no. Like he had everything handed to him, right? And the one thing he couldn't have is the attention of his female co-students, I guess you could say that, or his colleagues,
Right.
And that mentality of like entitlement, like not just to like everything like material,
Yeah.
but also like, oh, they should, these girls, they should be attracted to me. Like, what's wrong with them? Like,
What's the term? It's
incel.
no, not just incel, but it's gosh, what's the word? It'll come back to me, but
Yeah.
it's just it's seeing women as an object of
Yes.
just pleasure.
Yeah.
That's all they are for. Whereas when it comes to sex and women, it's more than just seeing them as an object of just pleasure. They're not to be used, even with men, not just women, but we're not to be used. Women are not to be used. Sex is not and it's not just to be used as an object.
But that's the thing
There's
is,
a purpose
and that's why,
behind it.
and that's why seeing this type of material, and it's not just pornography. It's
Right.
really not. It's even like the sexualization of like little girls' clothes.
Oh my gosh!
Like
Yeah.
it's huge. Like
that's a
like,
big-
Like my wife and I went shopping for my daughter for more clothes, and it's like there's a lot of shit, man. Where you're like, dude, like I would never.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Really?
what?
Exactly.
Like this is meant for like 6 or 7-year-old like to be wearing this. Like no, dude. But like even like TV commercials, billboards,
Absolutely.
shit like that. That like as adults. We don't like it's like whatever, like what you have a girl like with her boobs hanging out to sell car insurance. It's like we don't think anything of it, right?
Sex sells,
But I mean, to me, it's like I see it and I kind of laugh about it because I mean, I'm not to say that I'm like smarter than anybody else, but at least for the way I like to think about it is like I'm smart enough to like take a pause and notice it and like
Right.
kind of like address it. Think like why would they even do that? Oh, because like because boobs.
Because
Well,
boobs.
but it's like, but like, and that's the thing is like, but we can process it differently, right? We can say like, oh, they're just using boobs to like, to try to sell insurance because people's brains are like that. But like to kids, man, like that's a different thing, man.
Yeah.
And it's like even just like role models stuff like that. Like it's just.
And
It steals
It's
their
tough,
innocence,
man. It's
I
tough.
don't know.
It really
Yeah, it
does,
does.
and it's getting worse and worse. I mean, it's harder and harder for parents to keep their kids away from that.
one thing that opened my eyes when I was going to college, I remember my professor was like, "Okay, you guys have have to write a paper on it was like about marketing." So he's like, "Go to a toy store and walk around, and then see what you notice." I went out there and I noticed what society wants your daughter to be or your son to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I like you were saying, like girls in little clothes, you get like Barbies, short little skirts and stuff like that. It's
Right.
like, it's a perception of what they want them to look like. You know
But
what I mean?
He-Man, bro.
Oh well, yeah,
Man.
He-Man.
Yeah.
those
He-Man
those
doesn't count 'cause
expectations are.
It was back in the '90s though.
Yeah.
No, it was before '90s, bro.
Yeah,
It
this
was
was
like
the
in
80s, man.
'80s, bro.
Yeah.
But that's unrealistic for us men to, unless it takes steroids.
Well,
I mean,
yeah. But it's funny because
Arnold.
when I took that class and I wrote that paper, I was like, it opened up my eyes on like what you don't think about when you're out there.
No.
You filter it now, and then you're like, I'm like, oh shit. He's like, this is what they're trying to make you want to become. Or,
Yeah. You have to look at things like with different eyes. Like
Exactly.
it's weird, but it happens. It happens all the time, and it's one of those things that like, and I think with the accessibility to that, like really does change, that dynamic of expectations, like. And it's funny because this book that I don't know if you're at this section yet, but they do talk about like, kids and when they'll hear about sex and
that's the chapter I'm at right now.
I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, I just,
Yeah,
it's inevitable, man.
it's inevitable, but it's like to think, like, dude, like,
You have to have that talk.
not just that talk, but like you have to prepare them at an even younger age now than you
Yeah.
did before.
Absolutely.
Because they have just such easy access to
Easy
it.
access.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Have you dealt with that as
Oh,
a
man,
working
I'm
with
about to get
kids?
teary-eyed. So, not teary-eyed, and so one of my I don't have favorites, but one of my most favorite little students, man. This little girl, she was a 3rd or 2nd grader last year, right? The parent comes over and says, okay, Mr. Ortiz, we need to have a conversation. I was like, oh, crap. Yes, ma'am. What's good? And it turned out that they were talking about porn in program. And then as I dug deep, it was coming from during the school day, right? But the moral of the story is that she found, her daughter underneath the blankets on a porn site.
Oh.
And when she told me that, man, like, I just, not that I failed, but, as the director, I'm responsible not just for their homework, for their academic, but also their emotional, their mental health, And so when she told me, like, yeah, one of your older students was saying porn and she didn't know what porn was,
So
so
she
she
looked it up.
Googled it, man.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And, porn nowadays is very different from the 90s, very,
Yeah.
very...
It wasn't as not acceptable. It wasn't as
Well, we're in a
accessible.
rape culture now, and
Yeah.
so that's pretty much what porn is a form of legal rape, right?
Well, it's dehumanizing.
Yeah.
And
Very
it's
dehumanizing, yeah.
and it's objectifying.
Right.
I think
guess
it might have been the word you were
That's the
looking
word I'm
for.
looking for. Objectifying, yes.
So I guess what I'm saying is that a lot of the videos now emulate raping.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
Or forced, right? And so when this parent told me that, man, my heart just sank because I knew in that instant, man, this child was the most innocent little girl that you can think of, and I knew that as soon as she told me that, man, that's the first thing that came to my mind. That's why I said that word, her innocence,
Gone.
gone.
Yeah.
As a third
In a
grader.
blink of an eye.
Yeah.
That's the sad part now.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how quickly. And
Before
that's
we
the
had to
thing.
work for it. That's
Yeah.
no,
Well, and that's the thing is you know, like it's gonna take and I won't say necessarily I'm not a psychologist, so I won't say like, you know, her life is ruined, but maybe there's a possibility, but it's gonna take a lot of work. Then maybe, you know, kind of to unpack all those feelings and kind of do reverse some of that, like, because man, I don't know, dude. Like, how do you, with such a young mind, like, how do you process that? Like, you know that that there's, you know, there's a way that you know, adults process it and they don't really think about it, but it's like,
right.
you know, when kids see that, man, like, I don't know, I can't say that, you know, I would want to deal with that.
You just, yeah.
I mean,
it sucks, no? Like,
Yeah.
so question. When's the first time, like, at what age did you guys first see your guys' first pornography?
are we being honest?
Yes.
So my mom dropped me off. I got a lot of stories, guys. You ever see that movie with the Indian kid and he's on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Slumdog Millionaire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I feel my life is. I got stories for everything. So excuse me if I'm taking the mic.
Oh, no,
Oh, no,
dude.
don't worry about
go
it.
ahead,
That's
go
why
ahead,
you're
man.
here.
Yeah.
But, right, so my mom drops me off. And I forget how old I was, man. This is when NWO was hot versus WWE. This is like, what,
That was
96, 97?
probably, yeah, around
Yeah.
that time.
Right? Man, he was like, hey, you want to see porn? The kid, the son, he was like 12. I was like, porn? He's like, yeah. He bust out his older brother's magazines. I was like, where are their dicks? He's like, what are you, stupid? Girls don't have dicks. And I was like, oh.
Well, it wasn't 2018 then.
Yeah.
Now they do.
Yeah. I was going this way, Larry. You don't
Yeah. We'll loop it back around. Loop it back around.
No, but man, it was just like I just remember feeling like, oh, I'm stupid. Like,
Yeah.
Because the first thing I saw was the titties. Okay.
Mhm.
I was like, damn, those are nice. I like those.
Yeah.
I like
I
those.
like those. I don't know what this is, but where's the penises? Well, it's mine's like, right?
Well, because that's the thing is like, I mean, obviously, like with clothes, even with clothes, like you could see that difference, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be a freaking rocket surgeon to at age, you know,
Rocket surgery.
at age 8 to figure out that
Oh,
difference.
absolutely.
You notice that.
And then, you know, again, with the machismo is, you know, mamacitas and,
Oh, of course, yeah.
you know.
Especially that stupid video that's out right now with the mamacitos and the alien dancing and.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
But
I haven't seen it either.
my Speaking of that, yeah, my son came out. I was like, "That's not funny. Do you
That's
even
good,
know
though.
what it means? You know what I mean?"
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
told-
But he said that's not good, or you said that's not good?
I told him it's
Oh, okay. I thought he said that's not good.
No,
I was
so-
like, good job.
So you saw that.
Yeah, man, I
titties.
saw it for the first time, man,
Yeah.
and you know, there's a because how much do I share? But yeah, it was just seeing the magazine,
How old were you?
man. I was like 7 or 8,
Okay.
pretty much like
Okay.
in 3rd grade, the same as the little girl. But you know, I was like, I felt this emotion. I was like, man, what is this? Like now that I'm older, I knew it was lust. I know now that it was lust then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how
At
to,
the time, yeah, you didn't know how to express
I
what
don't
you
know
were
what lust
feeling.
was. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
and that's the thing is like after you know what's under those clothes, you know, it's like
Oh,
you
dude.
look at it in a different way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like it's a different, you know, it's a whole different thing. I was probably a little bit older. I was probably like around, I don't know, maybe around that age, maybe a little bit older, but yeah, it was the same thing. Magazines.
But I guess
you know?
I can say I wasn't the one looking for it because I didn't know it existed.
No, yeah.
So
Well-
the first time I was exposed to it, believe it or not, was remember the
American Pie.
what's that? No, not American Pie. No, I was like maybe about 8 or 9, and it wasn't exactly pornography, but it was. I went to an Orange Blossom Festival in
Uh-huh.
downtown. Okay,
Right.
back in the day, we used to have that shit in downtown
Right.
Riverside. Kid Frost was performing in downtown Riverside, and one of the dancers, backup dancers, was performing a quote unquote lewd act on Kid Frost, supposedly, sucking his member or whatever. And I was like, why is my pecker aroused? Like, what? Why do I like this? Yeah. And then past that, it was like maybe when I was like 11 or 12 when I was first introduced to pornography, and it was the old school one where like muffs were.
There was like a giant, the giant bush.
giant bush.
All you saw was bush. Yeah, so you couldn't really see. You couldn't really see what was going on under there.
That's fine.
Essentially, you saw Larry's chin.
Yeah, basically.
It was pretty much Larry's chin. It was Larry's chin. Not that Larry's chin arouses me, but I'm just
Some people are in
I
there.
find chin you got there, Larry.
But yeah, like it's I don't know, man. Some people think like pornography is not a problem, but I think now, as an adult, and looking back on it, it's an issue.
I think it changes, like I said,
for me, the first time, I think I was a late bloomer. I think I was like 14. Yeah, I was 14,
Damn.
and the only reason why, because I didn't have socks. So this is how it happened. I didn't have socks, so I was like, man, I gotta go get some socks. I was like, I'll go to my dad's, wear my dad's socks. I open the drawer, and guess what I see? I see a video. I was like, I wonder what this is.
It's blue. Why?
Yeah,
Wait,
a VCR.
VHS.
Yes.
VHS.
Yeah, come on,
And
dude.
then I went. I was like, and I put it in, and then I saw, and then it was Ron Jeremy and some other chick.
Shut up.
It was Ron Jeremy. I'm serious. Fucking serious.
Your dad's a Ron Jeremy fan.
I don't know. I don't know. If anything, you just found out right now. But anyways, that's how I found out. And I saw that, and I was like, what the heck is what? Like, you know what I mean? And it was crazy, and I didn't know how to process it, because who would I was going to go and talk about
I'm 34 years old, and I'm still waiting for the talk,
Yeah. Same. Get that shit.
As Hispanics around the table, we never got that talk.
No.
We never got that.
I know I didn't.
The talk I got was, güey, el día que me traigas una panzona te
Yeah,
chingo.
exactly. That was it. That was it.
Yeah.
Mira, no andes con tus pendejadas, ¿eh?
Yeah.
You know what? God bless my
It's basically like, don't do anything stupid. Like, and that was the talk.
Yeah, that was the talk.
God bless my girlfriend, man. Like she said, when and if we have kids, like I want to have the talk as soon as possible with our kids and expose them to what is out there. And it's like, you know what? It's kind of hard to see her point of view. I know it's hard, but it's true. It's true now, because if you don't bring it up, they're gonna be exposed. Exactly.
See, like he was talking about a 4-year-old or a fourth grader.
Seven.
Third grader.
A third grader.
Third
So
grader.
what? They're like 7
or 8.
They're barely 7, dude.
See, my son's at 7 or 8 right now. So should I? That's the gray
Well,
area.
I
I think.
don't know.
I
I think there's different ways to do it, right? Like, maybe you don't explain everything, but like, there's I don't know. I haven't looked into this so far, but I think I agree. I think, like, if realistically, like, there's probably a way to talk to kids even at my daughter's age about it. You're not going to use specific terms. You're not going to you're not going to obviously use pictures, but
Right.
Well, yeah.
there's stuff that you can do to kind of like lead them that way.
Like, this is a good question. When was the first time you guys got the special ed at school?
7th grade.
Oh,
Yeah.
for me, it was
Mine was sixth grade.
like health class, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't go through that till I was like in freshman year.
And here's a problem with that class that I took in 7th grade. It
It's
was all
science-based.
It was all not just science based. It was all doom and gloom.
Yeah,
It was like, oh, you'll get these diseases if you
This is
stick your
herpes.
Peter in some girl. It's like,
Whatever. Yeah.
oh shit, I want to do this even more because I like to live my life dangerously.
Yeah.
And speaking of
Thug life.
that teacher, that it was a what are they called? Not substitute teacher.
you were gonna say prostitute teacher.
Prostitute teacher. No, it was a substitute teacher. He was a magician. Okay.
Oh,
Trip out. It was African American dude.
so, bah, you're
Coolest dude. Okay. Coolest dude I've ever met. So he. This is gonna be funny. He's like, "Does anybody have 50 cents?" I was like, "I have 50 cents," and I was like, "You know what? Yeah, I have 50 cents." So I give him the 50 cents. No, actually, I have the 50 cents in my hand, and he's like, "All right, close your palm, okay? Close your hands and keep the 50 cents. Close it tight, and he showed a coin. He has a coin. Okay, mind you, he's like maybe 10 feet away because I'm at the back of the class. He's at the front of the class. He has a coin, a special coin. He's like, all right, I'm going to make this coin appear in your hand. I was like, okay, cool.
Do it.
And so I'm holding it really tight, okay?
I watch Bloodsport. I know what the fuck's gonna
Yeah.
happen.
And I hold it tight, and he's like, okay, do you feel anything? And I was like, yeah, my hand's tingling. Like, no joke, my hand was tingling. I was like, yeah, my hand's tingling. What's going on? And so he's like, all right, open your hand. I open my hand. No bullshit. The coin that he had in his hand at the front of the class was in my hand now. And I was like, what the fuck? How did you do it? You're a demon. How'd you do this shit, dude? Incredible, dude. Like, to this day, that shit gives me chills, man. I was like, how'd you do this? And I left that class, and I was like, wait, he kept my 50 cents. This fool fucking finessed me out of my 50 cents. I don't know how he did it, but I shit you not, he was nowhere near me. And that was amazing.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
I think that's how he hustled students out of money.
Yeah, it's also, maybe substitute teachers don't get paid that much. So
They don't. They really don't.
He was like, all right,
Appreciate
there's 6 periods. I'm gonna make an extra $3 today.
That's my guess.
Dude, but that shit was amazing. I don't know. I forgot the name of that substitute teacher, but man, that was amazing. I don't know how you did it, but jeez, man, that was incredible.
Yeah,
I believe in magic.
I don't know how we got there, but
I don't know either, dude. That was incredible, dude. That was. Oh, sorry, I'm just dumbfounded right now.
it's crazy.
But no, but Edgar. All right, but to go back to that, to what we were originally talking about, I think the only thing that I could use is pretty much when I talk to other brothers and sisters, when I talk about about like biblical perspective and whatnot,
Yeah.
and they say like because I have friends where they're like, oh, I was covered by the church and I was protected, and then they wanted to experience the world, and so
Yeah.
It's Sean Burgundy. He's one of my favorite rappers right now.
Sean Burgundy.
It's Sean
Is
Burgundy.
it related to Ron?
Distant cousins. He's African American.
Oh, okay, got it.
But no, he came out with I think he was being interviewed or was a meme or something. He basically said it's not so much about protecting your child from the world. It's about showing them how to navigate through it.
Yeah,
Right.
And so I think about like everything that we were talking about. There's not so much covering their eyes from it because the day they find it,
I think that's more dangerous.
absolutely, because then it's like they don't have the tools or the
Yeah.
knowledge to know how to handle that type of
Right.
situation. So then they're like diving in,
I mean, and there's some religions that do it that way, right? Like they're sheltered. Their kids are sheltered until
Yeah.
they're 15, 16 years old, and then
Yeah.
it's like, all right, go into the world. And
You see that a lot with like Jehovah's Witnesses or like.
I was thinking specifically
apostolic-
not
Talking about
Mormons.
the Amish?
Yeah. That's what I was
Amish,
thinking about.
yeah.
Like, think
Mormons,
about
yeah.
it. Like living in such a life, like
So
living the life.
sheltered.
Yeah, living the
Right.
life of an Amish person, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, go out in the world
Yeah.
and experience it as it is.
Yeah.
Like, imagine how overwhelming that must
The
be.
issue is like okay, so God made the world, and the world is what it is, and you can't be sheltered against that.
No, that's true.
No, I don't think. I mean, I don't think it's positive.
And I have to be kind of, going back to my kids. I was kind of like that with my son. Because when the first dog died from my wife's family,
Uh-huh.
I didn't want to tell him.
Was it Shogun?
No, it was Buddy.
Buddy, okay.
And then my wife's like, I think we should tell Isaac. I was like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, let's just, tell him. We'll just go around. We'll talk to him about it later.
Mm.
And then she's like, no, we have to let him know because he needs to, see what's going on.
Right.
And that's why I was
Accept
like, I was
reality.
thinking about it, and I was like, you're right. We had to tell him. So we told him, and, he cried, and he said, why? And, we understand. We explained the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then that opened my eyes to future things where, yeah, that's right. We had to tell him what's going on because we can't shelter him. Because if we shelter him, then I'm
Right.
hurting him. You
Like
know what I mean?
like
Right.
death. It's just such a. I mean, to a kid that age, it's such a complex concept, right? But there's
Yeah.
even then you find a way to explain it,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So Rebecca and I, we talk about that a lot. She read a book. I forgot the name of the book, but death is a taboo in our culture.
Yeah.
Here in the United States, like it's such a taboo. It's like nobody wants to die, but
Right.
it's like it happens. Like myself, if I were to die, like I'm gonna die regardless. Okay, whether it
Don't tell me
happens,
that.
tomorrow. What's that?
Don't tell me that.
I'm gonna die.
Lies.
I'm gonna die. So whether it happens tomorrow or fucking, I don't know, 30 or 40 or 70 years from now, I'm gonna die. I've accepted that, and I'm at peace with that. And you know what? It's very liberating to accept the fact that someday you're not gonna be here.
Yeah.
It's liberating, and it's inspiring for you to leave a legacy here and
Yeah.
leave your memory here.
Yeah,
Right,
and I think
right.
that's one of the things that like, culturally is also different, right? Because we get a lot of like, like I still have like my last grandma, and she's gonna come and visit, here
Same,
pretty
yeah.
soon, but like, it's almost like for years you've been hearing like, oh, I'm ready to go, like I'm gonna die and this and that, like it's talked about more freely in our culture, but in a way like at least. In a way, it's kind of used like to guilt you, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
that's what
you don't
Hispanics
come
right
visit-
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you don't come visit me, and like I'm gonna die, and you're not gonna know, and like this and
So
that.
where does your grandma live?
She lives in Mexico,
Okay. What part of Mexico?
in Jalisco.
What part of the beach?
Guadalajara.
Boy.
So in Jalisco.
Yeah. So but that's the thing is like it wasn't until recently we've bugged her so many times about like coming, to
the
visit.
States. Yeah.
But she was just like, oh no, she didn't want to come because the whole she's scared of airplanes and stuff. But here recently, like she's
But
actually started
yeah.
like traveling over here.
It's
more.
not just
Sounds
that
like
though.
my
Like
grandma.
even with my grandma, she, my family's from Michoacan. I fucking love Michoacan.
Yeah, I do too.
Anyways, but she doesn't like coming over here because she can't do anything over here.
No.
Yeah.
She needs someone to
It's-
drive her places
Yeah.
and over there, I mean, like shit, you can walk places, take
Yeah.
a fucking
That's
bus
what-
somewhere.
Walk. What's walking?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and it's like seriously, like I went there and recently, and I felt so relaxed and like I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
It's all different
I
pace.
feel
Yeah.
I feel more free over here
Right.
than I do here in the United States because here it's like I gotta drive places, I gotta stay in the fucking traffic.
And then everything is a time schedule.
Oh my
you
gosh,
Have to be here
yeah.
at 8, you have to be after you're 8.
And-
Oh shit! I have to go to the bank or whatever the fuck.
And so
it
when I
is.
recently went there with my cousin, I talked to my cousins and,
Yeah.
and all my family members out there. I was like, you know what? Life over here is kind of a little bit overrated in the sense that, like, you have to, like, okay, you like it's a little bit more limited than compared to Mexico.
Yeah.
And going, let's talk about the issues now about Trump, separating families, this and that, and the whole myth about, immigrants coming over and taking jobs and stuff like that. Like, most of my family was like, you know what? Like, I don't believe in that shit because if that was the case, then all of Mexico would want to go over there. But it's only certain people that, it's like,
Well,
see,
yeah.
they're like, you know what? Like, I feel better staying here. Like my cousins, my family are like, I feel better staying here than going to the United States. Like I tell them, like, you know what, life over there is over. Like, life over here, it's kind of overrated a little
Because
bit.
they look at it as a. What I want to say. From Mexico to coming over here, I think they see that over here you can perspire and do whatever you want.
And you
know what I
can
mean?
because
got
over
that
there,
dream,
if you
American dream,
over there,
which is
if,
true.
If you're 30 years old over there, you're seen as too old to be in the workforce.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
joke. Like
Yeah.
they're like, if you're 30, it's hard to get a fucking job.
Yeah, you have to create your own thing. You have to entrepreneur whatever
Exactly.
you need to. You
That's the
know?
mentality I'm trying. Like with one of my uncles that I'm talking with, and it's funny because my uncle's like almost was gonna be 40, I think, and I'm mentoring him. I'm like, dude, I need to change your the
thought
way
process.
you think.
Thought
Thank you. Your thought process. Like, no, like, don't limit yourself. Don't listen to what society says. Like, oh, you're 30. You're too old to do this, and that. It's like, no, dude. Like, look, like,
You're in
you
your
need to
prime.
every morning wake up, look at yourself in the mirror, and say, like, look, I am a hard worker. I am positive. I am this, and that. Like, talk to yourself in a way, like, change the way you talk to yourself about yourself. The way you see yourself is more important than the way that society sees you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and little by little, I see more change in him. Like, and I see more hope in him because he told me, like, it broke my heart. Because recently I saw him and he's like, thank you for coming seeing me and thinking of me. And the funny thing is, like, before I even thought of going seeing him, like, I was like, okay, so he's working. Like, maybe I don't want to bother him. But for some reason, I was by his work and I asked him, I was like, hey, it's like, where does my uncle work? I want to go see him. And she's like, oh, she works here right down the street. Or he works here right down the street. And I go see him and I say hi. And he's like, you have no idea how much that meant to me, for you to come see me and think of me. And you know, I've lost so much hope and this and that. And I've been mentoring him. Like, look, like, you need to change your thought process because there does seem to be some change. Because what I don't like is that people are like, you know what, Trump is this, is that, he's evil. It's like, no, you're making excuses for what the core problem is. The core problem is that Mexico is not taking responsibility for their people, for what they are going through.
That's a big one. Yeah.
What's pissing me off is like, I agree. It's kind of fucked up that they're separating families, but let's look at the core problem.
Well, here's the thing: is those families would never be in a position to be separated if they had a decent situation where
Exactly.
they were at.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like when Vicente Fox, he made a video, and I told my mom about it. It was funny because Vicente Fox was talking to the Dreamers. He was like, "Oh yeah, we'll take all the Dreamers, and we'll make sure you're taken care of, and all the
Yeah, what
Mexico
about
has a
everybody?
bright future." And in my head, I'm like, "Man, what about all the current?
Yeah, what about the people that
who
are there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like
Exactly.
if that opportunity that Fox was saying was there, it's like we wouldn't have you
That
know.
this influx of
And the thing
Yeah.
is he's making this video as somebody that really, I mean, as far as I know, doesn't have any political position to have anything to do with anything.
He's just a face now.
He's a past president that a lot of people saw that they were like, dude, this guy didn't do shit for us.
Nope.
Like,
Right.
I will say though that during Fox's, I was about to say reign,
Yeah.
during Fox's time,
administration.
during the Fox administration, you didn't really see too much of this cartel stuff.
You did. You did. You hardly saw it.
It
don't
wasn't
know.
until Fox
It wasn't as
left.
publicized.
Well, at least so. Shout out to Zacatecas. You know, that's where I went to school there for as a foreign exchange student to label it like third grade and eighth grade for like a month and a half each time. And it wasn't until Fox's administration left that you saw all the cartel nonsense. At least in Zacatecas.
And that's the
Pop
problem.
up.
Like, here's my thing. Like with the U.S., we get involved with so much bullshit
That we
fucking
have-
thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
Thousands of miles away.
Doesn't-
So
yeah.
okay, why not lend a hand to Mexico and take out these motherfuckers that are fucking, you know, they're exploiting these people to like drug trafficking and shit
Yeah.
like that. Like, okay, you wanna save money? Let's save money. Fuck a wall. Let's fix the fucking issue in Mexico.
Well, here's
Well,
the
then
thing.
you have
Here's
so
the-
many- yeah.
Well, here's the thing with that. Here's a fundamental issue with that, is that the reason why that situation exists is because there's a market for it. Let's be
course
fucking
there is.
100. Let's
yeah.
be
Oh, yeah.
100% fucking honest. If you take these guys out, because here's the thing, is it's not just that. You got to think of like why all of a sudden
Yeah.
have we had this huge
and the biggest
a
market
huge-
is here in the States.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
But you've got to think of like why all of a sudden has all this addiction to opiates come up, and why is it such a huge epidemic as they're putting it?
Right.
Right. And why is that? You know, where does that come from? It doesn't come from Mexico. Maybe it comes through there, but
it's-
it doesn't come from there.
Not from
No,
there.
yeah.
Right. So and again, the market is there, right? So you have people that get hooked on these pills. In certain states, it's a lot easier than others to go and get prescription for pain opiates, and people will get hooked on them. And
Right.
and I'm not saying I'm an expert and I 100% understand addiction and all that stuff, but I have known people that have gone through this. That, you know, they get injured, there's an injury, they take, you know, pills, and it's a growing thing. Like as the tolerance goes up, the you know, they take more and more, all of a sudden
Yeah.
they need something else. And, you know, maybe it's easier for them to get, you know, heroin or some other shit.
cocaine
You know,
or however.
whatever it is to deal with their pain, right? And that's I think that spirals out of control. But I think in order for us to, you know, it's a very complex issue in terms of like the cartels and stuff. I mean, the cartels are there at the very basis of it because there's a market.
Yeah.
And second of all, they exist because of government corruption that allows them
Right.
to exist, that
And-
they're
and
able to
not-
buy off.
And not
and-
just
and-
Mexican government though. Even the government here in the United States.
Yeah.
No, of course.
There's a vested interest in
Keeping
the-
it going.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of money to be made.
Because they have to justify their existence, right? If all of a sudden the cartel said, you know what, fuck it, we give up. Well, now all these hundreds of or thousands of employees that are in government that are meant to be fighting this, what do?
Yep.
You
And that's
know?
why it's never gonna end, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
Because of that money side.
Yeah.
I hope, and I hope that there's going to be a future to where when that's going to end and that's not going to be a necessity. I still have hope in that.
It'll be a
Yeah,
while.
I mean, it won't happen anytime soon.
No,
It's not gonna
not
happen the
anytime
next
soon.
5 or 10 years. But I think like, yeah, I guess going back to it, right? Is it's not just Mexico. It's another, and it's funny to me that so many people that are Mexicans are so opposed to borders. It's the whole thing like, no, like we shouldn't have, like, you know, people should be able. Okay, cool. Go to Mexico's southern border and see how that
Yeah.
is controlled.
Dude, the border between Mexico and Central America, it's highly fucking regulated.
Exactly.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's worse than here.
Oh yeah.
It's super worse than here, man.
Right. But that's the thing is like, okay, so how do people still get through from South America? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happens, right?
Well, there's a will, there's a way.
You know,
That's true.
and that's the thing is like this whole thing recently where they called it, what the fuck did they call it? Like, I think they call it like a caravan or some bullshit like that of all these people that were coming to claim asylum. Like, how does that happen that they get from, you know, they get past the southern border and then they're allowed to pass entirely through Mexico?
Yeah.
Is it because like, oh, okay, like this isn't your final destination, so just do whatever the fuck you want?
Right.
I don't understand that.
Here's another issue. 80% of the women that try to cross the border are raped.
Yeah.
And I'm not down with that, dude. I don't want these people to put their life in danger.
Yeah.
That's one of the things, like,
Well, that's another thing, right? And it's kind of like, you know, in order again, immigration is a very complex issue. Why do you have
Yes, it is.
why do you have people coming over illegally, in the very you know, simple nature that you hear a lot of illegal immigrants is because you know, I'm gonna get there and they're gonna, and again, you see it mostly and a lot in the European countries where they get there and they know they're gonna get housing, they know they're gonna get a check, they know they're gonna get all these welfare programs, right?
All this help.
Right. So that's the thing is, if that's your incentive, that's like your goal, right?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna go through and because in some situations in some countries there is nothing, right? So to go from that and being in such a desperate situation to need to go to somewhere where they're gonna help you and it's gonna be the promised land and they're gonna give you everything,
right.
you know, I think that's part of the problem is all the social programs
Yeah.
are perceived,
I think
the perceived
yeah.
free of everything.
I think it's kind of also the U.S. kind of fucked up, kind of trying to make themselves look like the saviors of the world.
Yeah.
Remember that movie, Team America, was that called?
Yeah.
World Police.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, being made to look like we are the saviors of the world and anybody can come here. Okay, that's your own fuck up.
Yeah.
For doing that shit. Like, even the Statue of Liberty says, give us your pork, give us your, you know, this and that. And
Yeah.
so it's okay. So we kind of created this environment of like, you know what, come over here, dude. We'll take care of you.
Well, yeah, but here recently, remember Canada was doing the same thing,
Right.
and now they've severely restricted their
Oh,
immigration,
totally.
because they have a bunch of social programs that they have to pay for too. And guess what? That shit gets expensive.
Was it
Very
the
expensive.
prime minister or the president was like, yeah, so we got rules that you guys got to follow. So
Oh, imagine that.
Trudeau.
no,
Yeah.
he went on there and he was like, hey, so there's rules. Make sure you follow them. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's everything pretty much
If
that
anything,
Trump's trying to do.
that's what we're trying to look.
Canada is fucking a hypocrite, dude.
Well, and that's the thing is, it's funny because like you get a lot of people that from Canada that you know get that whole smug attitude of like, oh yeah, well we have free healthcare. Why don't you guys have free healthcare? Oh yeah, well we have aircraft carriers we got to pay for, bitch.
Yeah.
Like it's easy to brag about your fucking free healthcare that you tax all these people for.
When you got to take care of.
when you know you got a big brother that has your back, so you
Yup.
can spend your money on dumb shit.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, because we are pretty much protecting them.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that's the thing
anybody
is,
fucks
and
with
that's
North
not just-
America. I mean, it's on us.
And that's not to say that the Canadian military is fucking week or anything. There's been some excellent people in
Canadian?
recent wars that have fought that have been from Canada. I totally understand that. There's the potential for greatness that is there regardless, right?
Right.
But in general, like our defense budget is
It's pretty
pretty
expensive.
large. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah
Pretty expensive.
It's pretty large, and
you know what?
keeping up, like not just
Yeah.
like keeping up the technology and keeping up, but innovating.
What makes
right?
me laugh is when people bitch about that. They're like, "We spend so much money on military, this and that." It's like you don't understand. Like we spend this much because there are still assholes out there.
There's
Right.
a reason.
There's
Well,
a reason.
And in reality, like there's a lot, like I don't know. I've looked at the breakdown, and I can't say like it's really not as much as you think. Like there's a lot of money that we spend on like shit that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Like why the fuck do we send money to Egypt? Right?
Why do we send money to
I
Egypt?
fucking know.
Are we talking
We
about
still
during the
do.
Obama administration?
This has been going on since even before that, man.
That one, I guess I'm referring to that one. He sent like 300 million.
Oh no. You're talking about the Israel thing.
Okay.
Oh,
so
okay.
so the Israel thing, so that kind of got misconstrued, right? And here's the thing is this is where like you have to research this shit. That got misconstrued by a lot of people. That's like, oh, why are we giving Israel money? And it's like we weren't giving them money. This was their money. We just gave it back to them. Like we gave them access to it, right? But it was already their money. Like with the whole
So
nuclear deal
is it
thing.
money that we owed them, or
It wasn't money that we owed them. I think it was like assets that they had in the U.S., but we froze. So then all of a sudden, like we just unfroze it, and it's like, well, now they have money.
Here's your
Got
check. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if they paid any interest or anything, but and then that's another thing that I've seen too, and I and it's funny this whole thing recently with the North Korean summit that actually happened.
Yeah.
Right. It's like you see people hoping for that to fail. It's like fuck, man.
Oh man, especially yeah, I see that a lot with the whole liberal side. Like, oh, this is it's gonna fail. This is like they're hoping for that. It's like, why would you do that?
Like you would rather the threat of nuclear war continue than to admit like, hey, this guy may have done some shit.
Dude, out of all the administrations, I mean, this dude who has no experience in government achieved it.
Look, fucking. Here's another thing.
Like
Dennis
I'm gonna go-
Rodman.
yeah, like
for fuck's sake.
Oh, that's
yeah,
another one.
I'm gonna go on record. Like I don't particularly like Trump, but I'm gonna give credit where credit's due. And if he was able to do this to where we would sit down and like have some diplomatic talk, like it's happened in the past before, and they've gone back on it. But I hope they don't go back on it now.
Somebody was
Yeah.
talking about Bush. Is that Bush though?
That Bush, though, what kind of Bush? You talking about the pornography still, or?
I don't know about
Damn,
that.
George Bush.
Yeah, but I think it's a valid point, right? Like there was opportunities, and it's funny because somebody told me this. They were like, oh yeah, well when Obama was a senator, he said that he was going to try to talk to North Korea, and and people like Fox News like laughed about it or whatever. They made fun of it. It's like okay,
Yeah.
but that's as a senator, right?
Right.
And I asked this person and I was like, so when he had the power to do it as president, why didn't he do it? Oh, because there was a Republican Congress, and I said okay. I said
Obama apologist.
okay, and so I asked him, right? And here's the thing is, this is where like you kind of like let people like I don't want to say like you kind of have to play along sometimes to like have people like use their brain, right? So then I asked this guy, I was like, okay, so you bring up the Republican Congress, right? I was like, so whatever Trump is doing now, did that require congressional approval? Well, no, it didn't. Okay, so what changed? Like, like you brought up the Republican Congress
Right.
that was against Trump, that said that they were going to try to make him a one-term president. Like, what changed? It didn't require congressional approval.
Right.
So why didn't he do it?
With Obama.
Right.
Yeah.
Why didn't Obama pursue it? And the thing is, quite honestly, I think and it wouldn't have worked with Obama, because Obama, like again, the thing in Syria that happened, when you say you go out publicly and you say you draw a red line, and somebody crosses that red line, and you don't do anything about it, Well, guess what? Your word doesn't mean dick,
It doesn't mean shit.
right?
Right.
So now this whole thing happened in Syria, and this president was tested.
And he said, nope.
Yep.
Yeah.
And at that point we we have
He doubled
a second-
down.
Yeah, exactly. And see, and that's the thing is and we've talked about it before. It's like if you're gonna fight a war, you fight a fucking war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like if it's
Yeah.
if you're gonna do something, you fucking do it.
You have to be the bigger dick.
Right.
Well,
and
yeah.
the thing is,
In that
and the thing
aspect,
is, and that bombing was that was a message to, hey, don't do that shit again. But it was also a message to Kim Jong Un saying, hey, look, like this dude, we're like this administration is different, dude. Like we're not
We
gonna
don't
put up
fuck
with this
around.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mattis does not fuck around, son.
Nope.
Like this. Yeah.
Mattis 2020.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope-
So yeah, Mattis Castle, dude.
Dude, like, like I said, I don't like Trump, but I do like that he's standing up to this shit. He does
Because
not
that's the
take
thing
shit.
is that you're speaking the
That's what we
same
need to do.
language. You're speaking the same language, right?
Yeah.
Like again, going back to what you said about your kid, like you know the bully. You've tried different tactics,
Yeah.
and you know all of a sudden it was like, dude, like if you gotta hit him, then fucking hit him because
This
he doesn't
language,
understand.
yeah.
Because he doesn't understand. This bully is not understanding like what you're trying to do. So we gotta try a different approach.
I think that's the problem too with people now. It's like, oh, we gotta be diplomatic, we gotta be nice. It's like, no. There's certain people out there, like, yeah, okay. It's cool to be nice, whatever, and be diplomatic, but there's certain people out in the world that are so assholes and don't understand.
They don't understand that language.
They don't understand the language.
No.
And you have to speak their language and be like, you know what? You want to be this way? Well, my dick is bigger.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but I have to be this way. But shit, dude, like,
Yeah.
it's either me or you,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be me. Like, I'm gonna fucking take over the shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and and I think that's where the biggest difference is in this administration versus the previous one is that you know they looked at the language again. We talked about it before, but I'll bring it up again because it's a very valid thing, and it's not something that that other administrations would have done, right? When it was recently that Kim Jong Un said, you know what, well maybe we won't have this because this guy said some negative words, and then Trump was like, you know what, fuck it then, we won't have it. You know, other administrations would have been like, "Oh no, like we'll give you stuff so you can like,
yeah.
we'll
And-
give you stuff so you can reconsider," and then they'd be like,
Yeah.
"No,
No, yeah.
thanks for your stuff, but no."
That
This
was
guy- this
that was
guy-
their tactic back in the day.
Right?
I read that.
It's been a tactic.
I read that book back in the day. It's like that was their tactic.
It's-
Like
it's been a
they're-
tactic.
They're gonna pander to our needs.
It's been a tactic. I mean, it's happened, and again, the definition of insanity, right? Like you and this dude did something different that they didn't expect.
Yeah.
When this guy said we might not have it, he was like, "All right, well, fuck it, then we won't have
All right,
it."
cool, whatever.
How soon did he come back and
He
say,
called-
"Oh no, you know
Yeah.
what? Like no, like no, we were just kidding. Like we were just fucking around.
Yeah.
Like now for real.
He,
like
he called the bluff.
right."
And
Yeah.
good call.
And then now, here's the thing too: is in the news is the whole thing with tariffs, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
now the tariffs have been announced, and this, I think to me, it's the tariffs aren't necessarily meant to go in place. The plan is there,
Yeah.
the framework is there, but I think the negotiation is going to be like I mean that's the thing, right? It's like at the G7, some people, oh, you know, this and that. Like no, some positive shit came out of that. They were like, oh yeah, well he showed up late and this and that. And it's like, dude, when you're the wallet, you know,
When you're writing the check,
right.
show up when you want.
There was like the pictures. There's like a picture like, oh, look at the difference. There's a picture of Obama all fucking kicking back, and nobody's paying attention to him. Nobody's fucking like.
Right.
But it's like in the you know, it's all again, it's perspective. It's like you're trying to show me something that's not there. You know, you're trying to make it seem like, oh, these guys are having a good time. It's like no, you know, we don't want these people to have a good time. We want things to change. You know, we don't want to be the wallet anymore. So
Yeah,
we're
we
gonna
don't.
so we're gonna do things a little bit different. And I think that the thing with the tariffs, it's gonna open up the negotiation, right? Because it's gonna be like, oh, of course, right now it's like, oh, you want to levy tariffs on us? Okay, we'll put tariffs on you. At a certain point, it's gonna get to the point like where it's like, all right, it's ridiculous. Let's sit down and talk about this shit.
Yeah.
And that's been his thing from day one. It's like, look, we're not getting a fair shake. We need shit to change.
He's a negotiator.
And I mean, gee, it's like he's almost like he's written the book on it, right? You know,
Part of the deal.
yeah. You know, but so here's the thing: it's like you know, again, shit has to change, right?
It really
like
does.
we have to speak a different language. Like we've been speaking the same language to these people,
And it's gotten us nowhere.
and it doesn't. It's not taken seriously because they know.
Our fucking national debt is ridiculous.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's stupid, dude. Like our great grandchildren will be paying on that fucking debt.
Right. You
There's
know,
gotta be some
and
change.
that's the thing too. It's like, you know, there was a video of Obama saying like, oh, like what magic wand do you have that these jobs are gonna come back? Dude, there's steel plants that are opening up that have been closed for the past 3 years.
Bruh.
Yeah, I saw.
I think unemployment has been the lowest
Right.
in fucking years.
You know who would be? I know when we had Jerry here. I don't know if you were here when we had Jerry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he works in a steel mill, and he was worried about his job not being, there anymore. And then now that they opened that, then
Yeah, and again, like that's the thing. It's like people think like, oh, you know, well that's the way it has to go. Manufacturing jobs just have to go away. No, they really don't.
They don't.
They don't. And you know, and that's the thing is when we talk about jobs and immigration, the most affected community that people don't think about is the black community and young men, and that's one that's one that. You know, somebody that's a lot more well versed on it than I am kind of explained, but it was basically like, look, like these jobs for like these young guys, you know, 15, 16, these dudes that are out there, like, you know, they're doing whatever they have to do. They're selling drugs. It's like if the opportunity was there for them to do something else,
Oh yeah.
then maybe shit would be different.
Oh, totally different, man. Because that's an issue.
and
like,
and not just that, right? Like at least for me, like I followed this path almost inadvertently, right? So it's like, yeah, I worked the minimum wage job or whatever, and then I got into a job that had to do with manufacturing, like it's stuff that was being made, like
Yeah.
and it was and then it moved on to like other stuff. Right. So, and it's one of those things. It's like that path really isn't there as much as it used to be. People want to say like, "Oh, it's a service industry, this and that," but it's like, what does that even mean? What does? Oh, it's a service economy, this and that. And it's like, dude, like that. I mean, at the end of the day, man, like you're not like, yeah, service is cool and all, but like if you can't sell something with that service. Or you have to source that something else from a different country because it's not manufactured, like
cheaper labor, whatever.
Like you can't compete, right? Like that's just, and that's the thing is like some of those manufacturing opportunities, so some of those jobs do have to come back, and there has to be that kind of like that next level, right? Because people are like, oh, well, minimum wage doesn't support you can't rent a place anywhere with minimum wage. It's
I
like
don't think
you're not supposed to, the
It's
job,
a stepping stone.
right? And the thing that people don't mention is that, in the same breath that they say that, oh, you can't raise a family on minimum wage. Yeah, you also can't pay for your college education. But that's one of those things that same side pushes to everybody. Like, oh, you have to go to college, you have to go to college.
It's
meanwhile, there's
yeah.
trade jobs that pay really well.
Really well.
That are just sitting empty.
Yep, there's a shortage of welders around the
Welders,
country. and they
plumbers.
make-
I mean, and that's the thing, dude.
Yeah.
Is like there's certain things that aren't going to change, right? Like people are like, oh, the healthcare industry, like people are always going to be, they're going to get sick and this and that, dude. People are always going to need like indoor plumbing. People
Yeah.
are going to need like
Yeah.
electricity,
Yeah.
right?
It's just
Like-
it's
like
a
right now-
narrative that they push to the kids, and just that even us,
yeah,
college
no,
is the only way to leave poverty.
exactly.
That's the dream that was sold to us. It's like you go to college, get a good job, and you're set. It's like that doesn't exist anymore.
No,
no, you could do a good trade and you'll be good.
yeah.
Like
But
right now, the HVAC trade, they don't have that many techs.
and a lot of
and
people are
no-
retiring from that.
Exactly, and they don't have no new people and new kids that want to learn that anymore.
Another industry that's neglected is securities, which is investments.
Yeah,
So recently, now and the next, I don't know how many years, but there's going to be a large transfer of wealth. The average securities agent or investment agent is when in their 60s, getting ready to retire. I mean, there's not enough people there to to be able to take care of that transfer of wealth now.
Right.
It's a gold mine being that.
Well, and then that's another thing too is that they were talking about earlier this week is like, oh yeah, you know the Social Security program is going to be gone, you know, and it's like, okay, well let's look at that. Like, why is it going to be gone? And it's like because there's people we're living longer.
Living longer, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So now we're living longer, and then also like how does here's the thing, it's like we're supposed to be okay with like contributing to that still, and knowing like we'll never get anything back from that.
We ain't gonna shit. I mean,
Right.
us here, this
We'll
table,
get nothing.
we're gonna get nothing. You
And
can't.
didn't they push it back to for us 67?
That's
More.
it's already like that. I think it's already the ages.
I think when we're it's gonna be like maybe in the 70s.
Yeah,
For
and even
sure.
then, and the thing is like the number of workers, like once like at a certain point, I think they said there was like for every one retired person there was like 2 workers, so
Yeah.
it made sense.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, like
But
the
now-
numbers now are not that, you know. And the thing is
No.
like it's like yeah, you know, they'll say like, oh, you know, that doesn't provide us. Like, well, that was never really supposed to provide.
Shout out Jerry.
Yeah,
See,
Yeah.
Gerardo head out of the put right on.
yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because we were talking about steel mills. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no.
that's the thing, man. It's like, you know, like, how, like, you know, to me, and I've seen it quoted. I don't know exactly how this happens, but how does government borrow money against that? Like, how does that work? Like we're so much in debt. Like, the only thing that's like going to your kid's room and robbing their piggy bank because you want to buy you want to buy pizza for the week, and you know it's like it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
It does not make sense to me. And
Let's see.
that's another thing, yeah. And I don't even have to look at this. I can already tell you, like
So
all the regulations,
yeah.
all the regulations and rules and compliance and all this shit that it takes, like for businesses to.
Oh yeah, dude, with the ISO or whatever it's called.
No, it's not. No, it's not necessarily
It's not
ISO because ISO is standardization, right? He's talking about like AQMD,
Yeah.
which is the Air Quality Management Division,
Oh,
That's only
okay.
California,
I
yeah.
was just reading that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna bring up right now.
Yeah.
Get out of the set. Also, the wonderful environmentalists and how they keep driving out good-paying blue-collar jobs out of state, just like AQMD keeps trying to shut our steel mill down.
Yep.
AQMD.
Yeah, and that's what it is, man. It's a way to try to control. Again, like yeah, you know, there should be it should be for safety reasons,
Right.
You know, OSHA exists for that. Like, but it's just it's kind of like our gun rights in California. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. It's like the laws are made so complex that it's impossible to comply with them at a certain point. And that's what AQMD is doing. And it's like, you know what, like at a certain point, they're just going to be like, you know what, it's not worth it for us. We'll go somewhere else. And the people in the state lose all their jobs. It's not just necessarily that too. I mean, there's a lot to that. But I lost my train of thought. But another thing that I wanted to bring up is Tesla. They're saying, oh, Tesla's laying off people, you know, and it's funny because I noticed somebody that like kind of broke it down, right?
Yeah.
So they're saying like, you know, you know, people are saying, oh, you know, Tesla's having to lay off a certain amount of people and this and that. In 15 years, Tesla has not made a profit.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy. And aren't they being funded by the government?
So here's the beautiful thing about it, right? Is speaking of AQMD, this is what reminded me of it, right? Tesla has been able to stay afloat up in large part because of the CARB and CAFE standards, which are like, you know, basically like by the sale of carbon tax, like credits, right? So they'll sell to so they have these credits, like we'll say like as a car manufacturer, your cars are allowed to put out this much pollution. Their biggest thing is, well, we don't put out any pollution. What are we going to do with these credits? We'll sell them to Ford, to GM, to whatever,
Right.
and we'll take that money. They can use it.
So,
you know,
so what you're saying is Elon Musk is an evil genius.
well, here's the thing is just looking at that, right?
Yeah.
So the company Tesla exists just solely due to government and the laws. And I'm not even talking about like any other like further subsidies that happen, like, you know, oh, the battery plant's opening here, well, we're not going to charge them property taxes, like all that stuff. Like I'm not even going to cover that. Just the very basis of it, like, oh, you know, because if those laws went away tomorrow, like the whole that carbon tax bullshit and all that, like
Right.
they would just cease to exist because of how much money they make on that stuff.
Yeah.
Which is zero. They're not making. They're
Well,
not profiting.
I mean, there's you know, people are getting paid, right?
Right.
So that's one of the things that somebody mentioned is like, you know, what they're doing in terms of like the type of employees they're cutting back on is they're not cutting back on management. They're cutting back on like the employees, like the welders and stuff like that for SpaceX.
Right.
You know, and instead of cutting back on like, hey, maybe we don't have like 10 supervisors, maybe we have like 7. It's like, no, just cut the bottom. Like that,
So-
like that just that part of it doesn't make sense to me, right?
It's typical
Just typical corporate mentality.
bullshit. Bullshit of like keep the higher ups as opposed to what makes us, you know, what we are, which is
That's your production. Like
With
your
production,
Like
the
that's what your
employees.
business is producing things. Whatever those things are, you're producing them. Like instead of like firing the
Right.
people that are helping you, like that are hands on producing that thing,
Mm-hmm.
you're like maybe consider like maybe people don't need to be managed as much.
Do you see that in the school system at all, or as far as like, you know?
Well, I'll put it to you this way.
They got money.
Okay.
There's money there. I mean, there's money there as far as from after school education. For example, obviously minimum wage is going up, right? And so, for example, the company that I worked for at the time, they
Yeah.
paid you $11 an hour coming in as a program leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when this program first started in Riverside, here in the Paris area, it was, I think minimum wage was like $8,
Yeah.
but they were still paying $11 an hour.
So it's a good stepping stone, right? It's like
It was
Right.
right, and especially because, like I said, you have so much responsibility with these kids. Now, what I'm getting at is that when minimum wage was $7.50 or $8 or $8.50, whatever it was, $11 was great.
Right.
But what's minimum wage now?
but well, they want it to be at 15.
Is it like
right?
$10.50 now?
Yeah.
Or $10, right?
Yeah,
Well,
it's like, so I'm going to take on all this
Yeah.
additional, like, hey, I need all these additional skills.
Exactly. And so now what's happening is that job that once paid $11 is now only 50 cents more.
Then going
Yeah.
and flipping burgers.
Yeah, like I always say, like, hey, you know, it's an easier job to go to McDonald's. You get almost maybe the same amount of hours part time, and you get free food. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not the biggest McDonald's fan,
Same.
but I love free food.
I love the
Okay?
burritos though. Their breakfast burritos are
A
good.
little bit of
I haven't
salsita.
tried that, yeah.
Oh,
Oh, their salsa, like I was surprised. Their
salsa's
salsa is pretty
decent.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
And so-
It's taking us a while to get here, but we're here.
but and now what's going on is that now it's more expensive to run an after school program.
Of course.
And so what ended up happening, at least if I remember correctly, the company was asking the state, like, hey, you know, we need more money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is what we need. The cost of running this operation has increased X amount of percent. The budget that Arnold gave us was only, you know, was meant to it was just a flat line and never increased or nothing, right? To compensate for the cost of living and the cost of operating, increasing in minimum wage and all that.
Yeah.
Well, guess what the state said? Well, minimum wage is increased, so parents have money and the districts have more money, right? And so now certain districts, they really enjoy those programs or they see the value in the program, so they'll flip the bill,
Yeah.
right? Other
Yeah.
districts, más o menos, kind of, sort of, and parents have to flip half the bill, and then the district takes care of half the bill. But there's money out there. It's just if the district values something, parents have such great power within their district. If a group of parents, and I'm not saying 2 or 3, I'm talking about if a certain percentage of a school's population goes to the board of directors or board of educators, whatever it is, school board of administration,
Yeah.
man, stuff can get moved.
Oh yeah,
Right.
that's a big right there statement that you put, because that's so true. Because I have to do what I do. I have to deal with directors, and that's the thing. It's like they're very important about their kids learning and make sure they're learning correctly. If you go out there and go to the board meetings and you say what you want to do, they will do
They'll
exactly
listen
what the
to you.
community wants to do.
Yeah.
Right.
They'll listen to you.
The problem is there's not enough participation
No.
from the
Yeah.
community.
And unfortunately, that's where parents need to take a step back. And I know, parents need to make money and they need to pay
Yeah.
rent. But man, like, if parents would pay more attention to what's happening within their own kids'
Yeah.
school district,
Yeah.
school would be a lot different right now.
You're, as a parent, you're paying into it.
Absolutely.
Well, and that's
Whether
the
it's
thing
through
is,
property tax or the other measures that each city does for
and
its own.
and it doesn't, and again, it comes down to the big motivator, right? Is because every student showing up is a certain amount of money per
Oh
day.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If you tell them, hey, look, this school, I like the way they're doing shit, I'm gonna take my kids over there, and it starts happening, like now there's less money that they're getting, and that's a threat, right? It's not necessarily like, oh, well, we're gonna have less kids, like, it's not for the fulfillment of the job. That's not why they want, like, that's not their motivation to change things. The motivation to change things is like, look, you guys are gonna have less money because you're gonna have less students.
Oh yeah.
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 So, I mean, that's the way to look at it, and that's why, like, I always thought, like, I always wondered, like, well, until the teacher told me, like, exactly what it was, I was like, well, why is it that, like, they care so much about truancy? Like, why do they care if, like, you're absent, like you're absent
Right.
like 3 or 4 days in a row? Like, why do they care?
If you're not there, they don't get paid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, I mean,
And unfortunately, right, the core issue with that now is that since they can't expulsion rates, right? If they're too high, like we just said, if kids are expelled, they're not making money.
right.
Well, if kids aren't graduating, they're not getting money. Either,
Well, and it makes them look bad. Yeah.
right. And so now, what do you think teachers are doing?
They lower the bar.
They lower the bar. They have to play the fiddle for the kid who is barely showing up to class, right?
Yeah.
In order to give the kid a passing grade, in order to graduate, and at the same time, for that student to show up to class.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, that's. I mean, I love capitalism and whatnot, but that's probably one of the core issues with the way the school is handling the way that they give money to districts or to schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Well, and then
And the
and
position that puts the teachers in, because then if a teacher is failing too many students,
Yeah.
well, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Why are they failing?
They put their job at risk. I'm assuming.
Absolutely, right. And then and again, that's why you have part-time college professors who they're sometimes the easiest professors, or not that they're the easiest, but they're the simplest structured
Right.
class.
Yeah, they
And
don't put a whole lot of effort into it because it's like, fuck it, I'm just here to
Right.
fucking grab a check.
But that does put such a strain on teachers.
Well, that's the thing is, what do you learn, right? Like, and that's one of the things that's like, even going through high school, like, at least for senior year, remember the economics teacher? Everybody's like, oh, this guy's fucking like the hardest teacher and this and that. Like,
Yeah.
he was demanding, but I learned a lot in his class.
There was a point, like, I appreciate teachers that were kind of not assholes. Okay, assholes. They were assholes.
Well, to our perspective,
to our
right?
perspective at the time,
because it wasn't easy to leave their class because like you couldn't do their homework in the fucking class because
Right.
you were actually involved,
Right.
Right? Like the classroom time actually like was classroom time, not time to like, oh well, you can do your homework now and then later you don't have to worry about it.
right.
You know?
And so teachers like that, I appreciate teachers like that because they were the ones that in retrospect, they really cared
Yeah,
about your
I think
future. It's
so.
like, look, I see more in you than what you're showing me.
Yeah.
There's more in you. So I'm going to push you.
Yeah.
And the problem was, or is, even today, is it's like, no, you're once again, your feelings.
Well, yeah, you don't want to shame anybody into failing a
Yeah.
class, you know.
Yeah.
You don't want to, yeah, that's a whole nother thing. And then the parents getting upset because their
Right.
kid, their little angel that is a special snowflake that could never do any wrong failed the class. Well, it couldn't be that their kid has no fucking discipline and doesn't do any homework or
Right.
no, it must be the teacher's fault.
It must be the teacher's fault, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the best thing for a student is when parents are involved, when the teachers involved.
Yes.
Of course.
And if there's any type of after school program or whatnot, that there's a synergy, right, between everyone. And if everyone's working together, because honestly, some teachers feel like, they have to not only teach your child, but they also have to raise your child.
Do you,
Right.
do you think there's maybe a better way for parents to be more involved? Maybe an app to where
Well, technology is amazing, man, and I
Right.
can't tell you how many times I've spoken with certain teachers, and they send out what was it, Class Dojo? I don't know if you guys use it or if your teachers use it, Class Dojo. It lets you know like if your student was misbehaving or if they got a praise.
I know when my son was going to, because he went to public school for a little bit. Yeah, they used to have that, and that was awesome.
Yeah,
Like
like
communicate.
exactly. You can send a quick message or hey, Johnny said he forgot his homework. Just to let you know,
Ooh,
X Y Z.
Yeah.
See, we did it. When I went through school, we had it the low tech way. So if you were fucking up in a class,
You gotta
like
know.
you would get put on daily fucking reports, and your parents knew. Like your parents knew that like, hey, when you come home, you owe me a piece of paper, and that piece of paper is gonna say how you were at school.
Yeah.
Like, did you turn in your homework?
And they still have things.
Right. But that's just it's a higher tech way of doing it, right?
Yeah.
Like yeah,
Yeah,
But it was
it-
the same concept.
Yeah, and at the bottom line, like I said, sometimes it's just hard for parents to show up because their jobs. It's like, for example, I can't again through the experience is when a teacher says, I haven't been able to get a hold of this parent because their student is XYZ, not doing homework, not doing nothing. Like, how do you think that teacher feels trying to teach
Yeah.
your student, trying to get a hold of you to communicate with you,
And you're there
whatever it
like-
is,
Yeah.
and you're not responding? And then at the end of the year, when grades are due, who do you think comes crawling?
Exactly.
Excuse me. So I just want to talk to you about Johnny. I know he's failing. Is there any extra credit that he can do?
yeah.
And it's like, lady, where were you the entire school year?
Yeah.
What do you
We're
mean?
talking about this on the fourth semester. You could have
dude.
we could have addressed this the second week of the first
Yeah.
semester.
Right.
Absolutely. And for parents who are both husband and wife or whatever it is nowadays, but for a couple, and I will add to this, even if it's a divorced parent and it's two families, man, that's even harder because
Yeah.
what happens is family A hears all the news, but then doesn't communicate with dad
Yeah.
and his side of the family,
That-
and
yeah.
then teachers
That-
got to play. Oh well, I told mom X Y Z, and then that's
The dad didn't hear it.
Yeah, and so it's just a
Yeah.
thing where both parents have to be involved because
Yeah.
there was a
Right.
day where it was a student teacher conference,
Mm-hmm.
and a parent was talking to me like, oh hey, so this is what I got his report card. Like I don't know what's going on. He has Fs and X Y Z. And I was like, oh, well, those are all great questions. Unfortunately, I don't have access to that information, but I do know that a student conference nights with the teachers, when is your appointment? And he looked at his kid. There's student teacher conferences. He's like, oh yeah, ours is tomorrow. Mom knows.
Mom knows, but
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I really feel that if both mom and dad, or vice versa, whatever it is that you prefer,
I think
world.
this goes into a whole nother issue with the whole divorce thing.
Man.
That
I-
or the communication too.
The communication and just parents being petty, of like they hold, they hold these personal issues against their ex-spouse. It's like okay, yeah, you have this issue with me, but like, come on, the bigger picture is our kids. This is gonna affect
Yeah.
our kids.
Jen and
Let's-
I talked about this too, like a little bit too, and it's funny because we talked about it earlier in the week. We were talking about like, and we've seen it with other parents. Like they use their kids as like a tool
Pawns.
Right.
to get back at the other parent,
you use them as
and
pawns.
it's just immature as fuck, dude.
Immature as fuck, dude. Like, and I'm not gonna, okay, I'm gonna say this. I see that more with females
Yes.
against males.
Yeah. Well,
And-
there's an easy answer for that because they've had the courts on their side.
They really do. And a lot of males do not have a lot of rights when it comes to their kids. And that's damaging
Yeah.
to our
That's
society.
hate speech.
I don't care. I hate that. I really do hate
No,
that. The
I-
fact that males don't have the same amount of rights or same, it's such a stigma.
When it comes to family court, but
Right.
again, this goes back to an even simpler issue and something that we've come to accept. Mm-hmm. And
as a norm.
as a norm is like ever since for a long time, even
Yeah.
before as we were growing up, look at all the TV shows and shit. Like how do they show dad in the fucking TV show with the family sitcom?
a
He's an
bumbling
idiot.
dumbass.
He's a
Yeah,
fucking
doesn't know
dumbass.
what's
Like
going
he
on.
just and mom is like
Right.
and I mean
Mom's a
and-
rational one.
and
Mom's
we're immersed in this, right?
We are.
Moms are very important in a kid's life.
Which is why I get mad when they talk about toxic masculinity. Like there's there's such thing as that, but there's also such a thing as toxic femininity.
Oh yeah,
that's the thing. Like you can't go on one side of the spectrum of saying like, oh, men are fucking this and that. It's like no, like it goes both ways.
Well, and here's another thing that I saw earlier this week, and that really got me thinking. And it's like, at a certain point, some women like thought that like, hey, we're gonna beat men at their own game, and in trying to do so, they forgot what made women unique, and they lost focus of that, right? And it's like whatever it is that they thought that the man's game was.
Yeah.
And that they can do the same thing, dude. I mean, I don't like my wife at home, and I'm not saying it because my wife's is a lot better at some shit that I'm terrible at. But if a jar needs to be opened at the house, I got these big ass fucking hands. I can fucking open jars like a motherfucker, right? But there's other shit that she can do that I can't do, that I'm not as good at, right? So we make a good team.
Which comes to the whole, there's certain roles.
Right.
And that's that shit that people like, well, no, like, there's no roles.
Like,
no,
yeah, like, why is that a stigma, right? Why
should not be.
Why is there a stigma to say it like, you know what, like, maybe, like, we're not equal. Like, we're
We
not,
are not.
my wife and I are not equal. There's things that she's better at than I am, and there's things that I'm better at than she is.
Absolutely.
And the thing is she doesn't try to beat me at the things that I'm better at.
Right.
She understands what they are, and when she needs help with whatever it is, not just physical shit, just other shit,
Yeah.
Like it's just you kind of lean on each other back and forth.
Right.
And that I think is a huge problem.
I think that's a beautiful part about being married. Is that
being
part.
being in a marriage that works.
Yeah,
partnership.
Because that's what it is about. He's like, I'm weak on this side, but you're helping me stronger on this side, and we
Exactly.
come together.
And there's some shit that women do that's like, man, I admire that shit. Like,
Yeah.
It's amazing,
Yeah.
man. Like, the women have their strengths that us men, it's like,
Oh,
on the
absolutely.
emotional side alone.
Right.
On the
Yeah.
emotional side.
Right.
They just they have that nurturing.
Yeah.
I'll say that. They'll have that nurturing. I'll never forget. There's a student that I was talking to, and he was a good kid. He was just in trouble that one time, but he
Yeah.
wasn't listening. He was having one of those days. And then this one PO, she was there for a while. She was very lovely, and she kind of put her hands to her hip, turned her head, said the student's name, and that student just melted. Like, yeah, I was just being dumb.
That's all she had to do.
That's
Just,
all she had, just hands on the hip, tilted, like, said his name, like, Edgar. He's like, yeah, I know, I was being stupid.
Yeah, but see, if you would have yelled at that kid,
Oh,
it
well,
wouldn't have got the same reaction.
I went in
right?
there like, hey, bud, what happened?
No, like that's the thing is like if you think about it, like like that's the thing is just that's just coming from different ways and disciplining stuff.
Right.
We've been going on for what now it's like 2 hours and 15 minutes. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like it. I think
Yeah,
it's
sure
a good point.
doesn't.
I think it's a good point to stop.
Yeah,
I think,
I
and
agree.
and I definitely appreciate you joining us, and
Yeah,
I'd like to
thanks
have
for
you
coming.
come back because like you said, you have a bunch of stories for a lot of stuff,
appreciate it,
and
man.
and it's been fun, man.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we'll have to have you back on, and next time we'll for me it's been a crazy week, so I haven't really had a chance to like take notes or
Keep
write
up
down
with
stuff that I wanted
current
to like.
events.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a blur. Jen's on vacation, so I've been I've been with our daughter, and,
enjoying your time with the
Sweet.
family, man.
Yeah, it's been
And-
great.
Yeah, so once again, thanks again to our sponsors, Brian Mason at Gabble Law Firm, Juan Aguirre at Remax, and Fast, Simple, and Sold. Guys, thank you guys for joining us. Leadslingers, thank you guys for making a delicious whiskey that's very simple to drink,
Pretty damn
Yeah.
good.
very easy to drink. I mean, it's really good.
It is really good.
Yeah. So again, man, thanks for joining us.
No problem.
It's been
Yeah.
a blast.
Thank
Like
you.
I said, it doesn't feel like it, and that's how it goes. Is when you're having a good conversation, you're having a good
Yeah,
drink.
just go.
Time
Yeah.
just
No,
time just
hey
gets
guys,
by.
I appreciate you guys inviting me on. I'm just inspired to do something similar with you guys here, and man,
It's fun, man. I mean,
Yeah,
this
it
doesn't
is.
happen. This doesn't happen on a daily thing. We don't have these types of conversations
No.
and try to see different perspectives and stuff like that. And maybe on a lot of things we agree, but maybe I'm sure next time maybe we'll find something we don't agree on.
Yeah.
absolutely. We'll keep
Absolutely.
score on who's right.
But we'll definitely have you back on, Oscar.
Thank you,
Thank you
thank you.
so much for
All right,
joining us,
thanks for
man.
coming.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Peace.
Later.
Hopefully next time we won't have so many technical issues.
Right?
Fuck.